getting us tickets to his like death island.
With that in mind, I still say we do it. Be a blast. What is this song? Cute fingers, Jordan. What's going on? You'll know exactly what I mean momentarily. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Awesemo.com NBA Deeper Dive 9-game slate presented by Underdog Fantasy. That's right. We'll gotta get to that reading this in a little bit. Phenomenal site, some great best ball stuff over there. A lot of stuff. I'm assuming a lot of you guys are signed up there, but new sponsor of the Deeper Dive. I'm pretty stoked about it. New sponsor, Live Before Lock 2. They sponsored all of our fantasy football stuff as well. So thanks for being our sponsor, Underdog. Anyway, I'm Dave Loughran. With me, Adam Scherer. It's our last regular season Deeper Dive, you and me, for the year.
Yeah, pretty excited about that.
Me too, man. Me too. But hey, you got 9 games, and I have strategically formulated today's games so that we're going to talk about OKC and the Lakers first.
Oh, you're killing me. I'm not going to be able to. Oh, wait, but the rest of it's in order. Okay.
The rest of it's in order. Can you blame me, though? Like, if we get down to it and we made a mistake, and not to say that's ever happened before, and we only have 2 minutes to talk about the Lakers and Clippers, it's just not practical.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. The reason that I reacted at all was because I rely on going in order to be able to figure out what the hell you're talking about when you ask me a question, and I haven't been listening.
Correct. I rely on going in order because I forget what I'm talking about. So that's why when I did this, I was like, all right, let me do this game, and then I'll go by order of totals. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Because this is the one game that is going to be insane. It's a late game, 10 p.m. start. It's out of control. But anyway, happy to have you guys with us. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. We'd love to have you hit that thumbs. I mean, we got 47 thumbs up, 400 people watching. You're insulting us, but I know we can do better. So if you haven't done so yet, much appreciated, much obliged, as Omar, or he would just say obliged, right? As Omar would say. And subscribe to the channel, 75,300 plus. Appreciate all you guys who have been with us all season long. It's been a blast. We're going to have a ton of NBA postseason stuff, so we're not going anywhere. Baseball's started off second day of the season. Big UFC card this week. A lot going on. And if you want to join, hit that join down below. Get the free super chats each month. The Masters, custom emojis, sweet badges. I see your boy El Negro Loco iced out with the 12-month badge. And we'll always prioritize your questions and comments along with our Discord members. And we're going to be doing some cool stuff as well, like we did with March Madness. So first things first, how you feeling about this one tonight?
Decent. Like, it doesn't seem like we're going to have too much random stuff, but then you get the OKC Lakers game, which is problematic. Like, the only thing I don't like about this slate is that it's just there's a million good plays from that game, and I don't really see a way around it.
Right. Yeah, that's the truth. That's why we're going to hit it first. I was listening to the Joe Rogan Experience with Ari Shafir and Mark Norman and Shane Gillis, who's like the funniest person on earth right now. And he said that Juicy Smouye was in the Mighty Ducks, Adam, and it turns out he was Terry Hall. Remember the dude that called Banks a cake eater?
No, I don't think I've seen that movie since I was like 10 years old.
Really? Oh, well, it was his brother. That's crazy. I grew up on Sandlot and the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah. And
are you even familiar with the cake eater term?
No.
Oh, it's a violation, man.
Like, I've seen the movie multiple times.
I've seen it many times.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot.
But you don't remember
sometimes
anyway
after puberty.
Anyway, Juicy, Juicy.
Oh, yeah, if you pull it up on Wikipedia, he's fourth.
In credits.
Yeah, he's fourth.
Which is crazy because it was a small role. I believe because he was the younger brother. I think a pretty small role, but blew my mind. Yeah.
Oh, actually, so I take it back. If you like look under cast, he's towards the bottom. But if you just like, on the right-hand side, they'll have like the movie poster, and then you're like directed by, written by, all of that. He's up there with Emilio Estevez, Joss Ackland, and Lane Smith. So I guess whoever did the Wikipedia page probably just threw him up there because name value.
All right, yeah, name value. All right. Oh man, what is your favorite? And I want to know everybody in chat. Then we're going to get into OKC later. I'm just curious. Favorite movie growing up as a kid? First thing that comes to mind.
Well, now it's Sandlot because you said Sandlot.
I think it still is Sandlot. I mean, it's a great movie.
Yeah, no, you know what movie I really liked was Liar Liar with Jim Carrey.
Really?
Yeah.
Like as a kid?
Yeah, as a kid.
Okay. Remember Little Rascals, like the new one? Or Dennis the Menace, where the kidnappers standing by the playground carving up an apple with a knife.
Kind of.
Puts the chiclets into the false teeth. No,
you were older than me when all these movies came out.
Oh, you know what? You're right. I didn't think about that. You're what? How old are you now?
32.
I had 3 years on you.
Yeah, but I feel like those are a big 3 years. Like
that's true.
You know what? Ducks came out when I was 2. So let's say I saw it when I was 5.
That's true. There was a golden era too. By the way, some great answers. 3 Ninjas coming up a lot. That's a good. You remember 3 Ninjas?
I remember the movie. I don't remember like.
Little Giants, great one. Up in Smoke. Yeah, okay. What was the one? What was the Goonies? That's another great one. What was the one with not Angels in the Outfield? Oh, Rookie of the Year, where he breaks his shoulder and he's slinging like 110. Yeah, all of those were good.
Yeah, Goonies came out 5 years before I was born.
What did?
The Goonies.
Wow. Yeah, that came out before I was born, right? It was like 85.
85, yeah.
Jordan, favorite movie?
I'm like, what?
As a kid.
I said Little Giants. Little Giants.
Oh, good one. Blank check. How about Richie Rich?
Yeah. When you said Dennis the Menace, I immediately thought Richie Rich too.
Yeah, man. Richie Rich. Well, that was the one where the gumballs went everywhere, I think. Anyway, Jordan Klein wants to show everybody something. Just stay up there, man. I mean, I want everyone to see this. You will not fault me for taking up too much of your time. You will appreciate it. Jordan decided that he's making some lifestyle changes and he wants to show off what he's done.
This is fake.
Just go ahead, man. Let everybody see it.
This is fake news.
Just go ahead. Let everybody.
I get to explain myself after.
Yes. Okay. Both hands. Let me see it. Oh.
Okay.
Beautiful.
I lost in my NBA.
That is beautiful.
In my NBA season-long fantasy league, I lost, and this is the punishment. Okay, right there. For a week.
You gotta hold him up like this.
For a week.
Oh, I love it. I like that shirt too. All right, but yeah. So there it is. That was the bet, right? So that's the story you're telling. Yeah. You're muted.
I would never. Why would I ever do this to myself? I've never had this unwarranted amount of people looking at me. I'm like people are looking at my hands. It's ridiculous. But I would never do this. Yeah, this is from a bet. Yeah.
I actually lost the bet where I had to do that to my toenails once, and I went away to a hockey tournament. Everyone's getting in the pool, and I completely forgot until I took my socks off, and it was a wrap. All right, let's do it. But yes, I know, lost bet. We had to set it up that way. It's a whole lot more interesting. First game, Adam, we're not going to go out of order entirely. We're just going to hit on OKC and the Lakers first. Then we'll go back into order. That's a 10:30 game. But just as far as ownership goes and everyone for these teams being out, there's no reason we shouldn't talk about this first. So let's get into it. Thunder, amazingly, still 5-point dogs in LA, 225.5 total. Let's just start from the top of guys that are pulling the most ownership for the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight, and we'll work our way through it, starting with Xavier Simpson and Jalen Horde.
Yeah, so the caveat here with OKC is we are assuming that we're getting the same starting lineup that we've got in the last 2 games. If Pogoshevsky, Wiggins, Maladon are in the starting lineup, then all of this goes out the window because they're running a more normal rotation. But assuming that those guys aren't in the starting lineup and you can assume that they're not going to play, then there's just a lot of value to be had here. Starting, like you said, starting with Horde and Simpson, neither of these guys are even really projected to be over-owned. We have 40% ownership coming into Horde on DraftKings, Simpson at 42%. Horde has a 59% chance of being optimal. Simpson's at 41%. Almost 150 minutes for Horde since joining the Thunder. He's averaged 1.06 DraftKings points per minute. Simpson is down around 0.65, 0.7, but he's really cheap and likely to give you mid 30s in minutes, assuming he starts. And then all of that is, on top of the fact that they're playing the Lakers.
Yeah, it's such a weird game. And by the way, Aaron said Hook. Hook is an outstanding movie as a kid.
Some of my favorite overall movies came out when I was a kid, but I didn't watch them until I was an adult.
That's fair. But I'm talking about as a kid. Hook with, Rufio. That was
I just kind of thought about it because like Good Will Hunting is my favorite movie. That came out when I was 7. American Psycho is one of my favorite movies. That came out when I was 10. But I didn't watch them when I was 7 and 10.
Is American Psycho really your favorite movie ever?
Good Will Hunting is my favorite.
Oh, sorry, Good Will Hunting. Okay.
American Psycho is very high on the list though.
It's good. I'm not surprised by that.
Thanks.
Let's work our way through the rest of OKC. I mean, it is amazing when you look at the names, right? That are not only expected to play considerable minutes, but that are actually pulling ownership. So many of these guys. Well, no, actually, other than like JRE, is there anyone that was playing minutes even like midway through the season on this team?
No, I mean Krejci sort of, Isaiah Roby sort of, but
Roby, I forgot about Roby. Yeah,
but even Roby had stretches where he was playing like 16 minutes.
Right. Yeah, it's such an odd spot, and they're going up against the Lakers team too that has obviously for good reason given up on the season.
One month ago, Jalen Horde, Simpson, Frazier, Kalaitzakis, and maybe Lindy Waters. I don't remember exactly how long ago he came up. We're not on this team.
Roby wasn't?
Roby was. Horde, Simpson, Frazier, Kalaitzakis, Waters.
Oh, I thought you said Roby. I thought you said Roby too. Yeah. None of these guys. And Robinson Earl was probably still hurt. So it's like nobody was playing. It was a totally different rotation. Are there any spots that we should be looking towards as potential?
Jordan just took it. I had typed that out and then I just deleted it and didn't wig into it. Jordan said it.
What did Jordan say?
El Negro Loco said something about his hairline, and Jordan said, "Aren't you bald?"
Is he?
I think so.
I mean, you can't be ripping a hairline if you got no hair, unless it's like intentionally shave your head or bick it. But
somebody said American Psycho isn't even good. Just leave the chat.
No, it's a good movie. I wouldn't put it near my top, but it's a good movie. Is it Bale? Christian Bale?
Yeah, Christian Bale.
Yeah. I just watched 310 to Yuma, and he was in that too with Russell Crowe, but you don't watch Westerns.
I do not.
Anybody else for OKC? And I know you talked about caveats here, but like, how important is it to have a lot of exposure to OKC tonight?
I don't really see a way around it. I mentioned that at the top. It's just that, like, one, it's a good matchup against the Lakers. 2, and again, we're assuming that you're not getting the Pokusevski, Maladon, Wiggins lineup because that would just change everything. But they're just so cheap, especially on DraftKings. Like on FanDuel, they're a little bit more expensive. Simpson's 4,700 on FanDuel, still really good. 3,900 on DraftKings. Horde is 5,600 on DraftKings. I think like 6K on FanDuel. Frazier's 3,100 coming off of a game where he played 33 minutes. Kalaitzakis has played like 45 and then 30 minutes in the last 2 games. He's still only 3,600. So it's not just that they're good value plays in the sense that they're opening up, like in a point per dollar sense. They're likely to be some of the highest scorers on the slate because they're also playing mid to upper 30s and they're playing the Lakers. So it's just really difficult to get away from a lot of OKC.
Goody with the $10 super chat. Thanks, Goody. The etiquette. I'm always appreciative of the super chat etiquette. Guys, are we going to put any caps on this game? Players per lineup, DraftKings, GPP. Let's talk about the Lakers, and then we can answer that question when we sum this game up. So when it comes to the Lakers on the other side, THT is coming off a 44-point game. There's just no. I understand the insane ownership, but he's still sub 4. There's just zero reason to get away from him today, unless you have something and I'm missing out. I'm missing it. But like even Monk, right? Like Monk usage is going to be high. And then you have Howard and Reeves and Johnson, all of these guys who you would anticipate playing big minutes. But the 2 spots in THT and Monk are just very obvious good spots. And they've got a considerably better matchup than they did on the road yesterday against the Warriors. Now they got a home spot against the Thunder.
Yeah, THC is another example. It's just so difficult to get away because it's almost impossible for him to fail, assuming he doesn't get hurt or ejected or foul out in 5 minutes or something. He's 3,800. So for him to really like hurt you, he'd have to basically just like have his projection. And realistically, like on average, he's projecting to almost 10x his salary. So it's just so difficult to get away from him. He's getting tons of ownership, but there's no way around that. 82% projected ownership on DraftKings right now, 75% chance of being in the optimal lineup. It's really hard for me to avoid somebody that is going to be in the optimal lineup 3 out of every 4 times. But then even beyond that, like Malik Monk's salary came down $400. I don't know how that works, but it happened. Stanley Johnson and Austin Reeves are 3,700 and 4K respectively. They're both right around 0.75 fantasy points per minute without Davis, Westbrook, or LeBron. They both played north of 30 minutes last night. Dwight Howard is 4,600. Don't know if he'll play today, but if he does, he played 26 minutes yesterday. If he doesn't, that's even more minutes for Wendy and Gabriel at 3,600, who, if Gabriel's coming off the bench, I think is kind of an interesting spot to look to in tournaments just because he should get less ownership as a result. Right now, we have him projected for 12%. He only played 20 minutes last night, but he's a point per minute guy. And if literally anything happens that gets him more minutes, he looks really good. If he starts, that ownership skyrockets, but so does his minutes projection. So does his, point projection. So both of these teams just have like pretty much nothing but value guys that I want to play.
It's crazy. And I think Goody's question was perfectly timed, and it's one I was going to ask. Are we setting caps here? How many from each team do you want? I know the answer is generally 3, and this is a 9-game slate late in the season where we should have some value. Is there anything different about it tonight, though, given this matchup with these two teams?
Yeah, a little bit. So there's still huge opportunity cost at every position, but I really don't mind having some lineups that are like 4-3 game stacks here, or even 4-2 or something like that. And the reason is what I had said when I was talking about OKC, but it applies to the Lakers as well. These aren't just the best point per dollar values. These are guys that legitimately can go get you 40 plus fantasy points. Like Horton Tucker, Monk can easily go for 40 plus. You can easily have a few OKC guys get up there as well. And there are guys to pay up for today with Luka, with Ball, with Trae Young. So not saying that, I necessarily want a bunch of like all my lineups to be just 7 guys from this game, but I do anticipate capping these teams at 4 instead of 3.
All right. Let me get to a couple of these super chats now that we got through this game. And if there's anything else on this game you want to hit on, we'll do that in just a second. Okay. So did we lose them? We had someone that just signed up as a new member. I wanted to say what's up, and then we had another super chat. We'll get to that. And Dave DeRemer said, Jordan, is that really a punishment if you're inside for a week? Dude just showed 1,000 people. So yeah, I mean, I would say sure. More people saw it now than people are going to see most other people. But what's up?
I was just gonna say, yeah, I go outside of my house. I don't like just stay in my house all week.
You should wear gloves. Ryan, are there any free tools on Awesemo today? Glad you asked, partner. NBA ownership rankings, MLB player rankings, NHL player rankings, and MMA pro plays. All of them free. So yes, we have a lot of free stuff. And Jordan, I'll say this much. Nothing wrong with the hairline, dude. You got a strong hairline in front. Nothing wrong with the hairline. We're good. All right, let's keep it moving here. If you can pull that super chat and and whoever just maybe became a member for me, that'd be awesome. Milwaukee and Detroit. You think Giannis plays tonight?
I do.
Second of a back-to-back.
Well, I don't. But the thing that confuses me is that they haven't ruled him out yet. I kind of thought we were just going to get the nobody on Milwaukee is playing tonight.
Me too.
Injury report, and we didn't. So
I think we still might.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe not.
They're not on it. Like normally when it's a rest situation, the teams have just been like, yeah, these guys aren't playing. The only thing I can think of for why maybe Giannis plays is if he wants the MVP and cares, then
yeah. Or if they actually want the 2 seed.
Yeah. I mean, there's that too. Like, yeah, maybe they really do care about the 2 seed. My assumption has been that these teams don't care, but maybe they do.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. Like yesterday, if Boston cared enough, Tatum and Horford probably play that game, right? Like those are clearly maintenance days. So I don't know. I guess we have to operate under the assumption that he plays. I mean, he's been probable recently.
Yeah, I mean, it's
now
the first game of the slate, so I don't really care.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Now he's questionable. So I guess why before lock with Josh and Greg will definitely help you out on that front. They'll get that news if we don't. I think we might. But right now, I don't even think there's much to talk about. If Giannis plays, he's fine against Detroit. My issue here, and tell me if you disagree, is I do think this could be one of those games that if Giannis is active, he plays 27 minutes. Like I do think that's a possibility.
Do you mean by design or because Milwaukee just beats the hell out of Detroit?
No, I mean, I'm not convinced that he's going to I think if this game stays competitive, I still don't see like 36-minute upside for Giannis tonight. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, if they start, yeah, like maybe you take a couple of minutes off, but I think if he's starting, like I'm treating it like a normal game, not giving him 36 or 37 minutes, but I don't know why they would. I don't know why they wouldn't just rest him if they're going to rest him.
They're only 5.5-point favorites against Detroit.
Yeah, which is strange.
Yeah. Do you want to do anything with Milwaukee right now?
I want to play Giannis. If he's out, then obviously Middleton and Holiday look better. Portis would probably start. He would look decent at 6,400.
And then anybody else is pretty much just.
Yeah, I mean the rest of those guys, you would need you would need Middleton out or Drew out and Giannis out.
Yeah, if we get that news, we can circle back. There's no point to waste time on it right now.
And just one like general thought too is like we've obviously already talked about the OKC and about OKC and the Lakers, but those two teams basically prevent any like, oh, Pat Connaughton looks okay at 3,800. Like we don't need to talk about that kind of stuff because he projects like 20 points lower than guys like Horton Tucker.
How about Detroit? They've been, they're without Marvin Bagley again. We're still waiting on Corey Joseph. Grant's done for the year. Cade Cunningham's close to 9K now. So, a lot of these guys you're going to have to, well, specifically Cade and then Sadiq Bey, it's at 7K, just too expensive in a spot like this. But pretty underwhelming team today outside of maybe a little bit of Cade just because he's playing big minutes and playing well.
Yeah, Sadiq Bey on FanDuel also, I think it's like 5,200 or something like that. Detroit is one of those teams where it's kind of scary rostering them because they do weird stuff. But so far they have played perfectly into the trend that I talked about where teams seem to do kind of weirder stuff against bad teams and also on the road. The last two home games against playoff teams, Detroit's played completely straight up, played Cade Cunningham a bunch of minutes. The last two road games against non-playoff teams, they've played guys 6 minutes and then bench them. No guarantee that happens again today. But I do think that my best guess is you're getting normal minutes from Cunningham and Bey. So they don't stand out on DraftKings nearly as much, but on FanDuel, Bey at 5,200 or whatever it is looks good.
Jordan. All right. New York Knicks and Washington Wizards. Let's talk about the Knicks first here. So, I mean, Randall's not coming back this year. And it's really the only important one along with Mitchell Robinson. But it's the same thing like I keep bringing up, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but with so many, and this is not me saying that Obi Toppin or Barrett, like these guys aren't viable, but the more games you play without a Julius Randle in the rotation, the harder it is going to be to get to a lot of these guys with frequency, just because his absence is such a big piece that their prices are just going to come up pretty much. Like Burks, Toppin, Quickly, they're all above 6K.
Yeah, but I still think that there's some value here because they need to play so many minutes. This game doesn't matter for the Knicks at all, but they don't have bodies because not only are you missing Randall, you're missing Noel, Reddish, Robinson, Rose, Kemba. Grimes is questionable. They're not one of these teams that has like a million guys up on 10-day contracts. So you're still expecting a lot of minutes for Obi Toppin because now, Taj Gibson, who normally backs him up, is the backup for Jericho Sims instead. So it helps to solidify Toppin's minutes. He still looks good, I think, at 6,200 coming off of a game where he played 43 minutes. RJ Barrett played 45 minutes last game. I don't think you project him there, but you still can very easily get like 38 to 40 just because they're shorthanded. His usage rate goes up without Randall. He shot really poorly last game, but still got out plenty of shots. I think that him and Toppin look like the two best guys for me. And then you get, Burks, Quickly, Fournier, Sims, all as decent options that don't look quite as good.
Right. On Washington, they just announced that Porzingis and KCP are shut down for the rest of the season. So there's that. How has Kuzma not just been ruled out for the season?
I have no idea. The first game he missed, they were like, yeah, he's gonna miss this one. We think he'll be back for the back-to-back next game, like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Like why? I don't know. It would make sense that he would have been in that same report, but apparently not. Anyway, we'll talk about Washington here. This is going to open some things up. I mean, they're not a particularly exciting team on most days, but is Daniel Gafford a good close to min sal option today? Avdia been playing pretty well. Rui Hachimura is always a tough guy to get to. He's so insanely volatile, but who are the best spots that benefit most from KCP's absence? Because he is playing a decent amount of minutes, and specifically a high usage guy in Porzingis.
Yeah, and they did just rule Kuzma out as we were talking about it.
Okay, yeah, it would be crazy not to.
Yeah, so this does open up some stuff, not necessarily on the same level as Oklahoma City and the Lakers, but you should get Daniel Gafford in the starting lineup most likely. He's $3,900, had been backing up Porzingis. I would expect you get mid-20s in minutes from him. And then behind him, you should get Thomas Bryant, who is $3K flat. Shouldn't get much ownership just because there are so many good value plays tonight, but he is a good point per minute guy, and maybe he plays more minutes than we're expecting. So I don't hate that in tournaments, but I would certainly go to Gafford first and not play them together. From a usage standpoint, you should get more for Rui. You should get more for Denny Avdia. I mean, you're missing now pretty much all of the highest usage guys on this team, because for the season, Kuzma's at 24%, Beal's at 30%. He's obviously been out. Porzingis is at 31%. So you're taking all of those guys off. And I'm trying to look now to see if we even have like any sort of sample without them on the floor. But really, the next two guys up in terms of scoring ability should be Avdia and Rui. So I would expect them to both get more minutes and play pretty well. So far this season, I need to take Dinwiddie off too. I was going to say Avdia only has a 17.5% usage rate, but that's probably because of Dinwiddie. So I would expect it to be Rui and Avdia really doing a lot offensively.
Jordan, you hit me with those. Yeah, there we go. Tom, welcome to Team Awesemo, man. Glad to have you here. I missed that earlier. And Teddy had a super chat. What's up, guys? Watching the Masters, drinking whiskey, and listening to you guys. Appreciate everything you do. Oh, nice. Enjoy it, man. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate the super chat. All right, let's talk about. So
people mentioned in chat, Kispert and Ish. Yeah, those guys are both fine too. Like they should play a lot. I just think it's likely that a lot of the usage goes to Denny and Rui. Ish has been over a fantasy point per minute guy since joining the Wizards. He still looks fine. Kispert should play a bunch of minutes and probably get a little bit more usage. He's 4,300, but I would just expect Rui and Avdia to do most of the scoring. And we know that Gafford is a good point per minute guy.
I just have no idea what like Ish or Satoransky's minutes are going to look like. And I don't think Unseld does either.
Right. I mean, typically you've been getting Satoransky starting and then Ish closing, which has been, good for Ish from a fantasy standpoint, but that doesn't have to happen. And there's nothing preventing this game means absolutely nothing. And Washington really should prefer to lose it. The Knicks should too, but I don't think either team cares all that much. The Knicks clearly don't. But you could get Neto in the rotation to screw this up too. I do think that I feel more confident in guys like Kispert, Rui, Avdia, from a playing time standpoint, just because they are young first-round picks that Washington should want to play.
I just mean Satoransky was on pace to close last game until the entire bench was emptied with 5 minutes to go. So I don't know. I do know, however, that Underdog Fantasy is a fantastic place to play. And we had a blast with their fantasy football best ball drafts last year. They're going to have a ton of them, but over there at Underdog, it says in the read, it's on the app, but you can go on the browser too. However you want to do it. You don't have to do the app. You can, Underdog Fantasy. But they have a contest going on right now that nobody else is doing. And that contest goes by the name of The Dance. It's open from now to April 16th before the playoffs start for the NBA season. $200,000 in total prizes, $30K up top. And if you haven't done so yet, get in and draft that team that's going to take it down. The best ball, Adam, you would agree with me, right? I don't usually bring you in on reads. I give you a brief respite before we get back to it, but you would agree. The most enjoyable part about best ball is not sweating it each week. It's just doing as many drafts as you can.
Yeah, draft. I don't even look at it once I'm done drafting.
Neither do I. But the drafts are so much fun. Like it's so nice to draft. The feeling of drafting, it's all, and who knows what it looks like at the end of the year. But the feeling of drafting a team that when you're done, you just feel like everything went right is a great feeling.
Yeah. Drafting is a lot of fun. Like normally, somebody was asking me on Twitter the other day, like why I wasn't doing like NBA or MLB best balls, and I said that I just don't want. I didn't want to take the time to do it. But like for NFL, when it's like the middle of the summer and it's just like you're in the middle of baseball season, there's no other sports going on. Like just sitting around drafting on Underdog is really enjoyable.
It's awesome, and you could argue whether or not that's plus EV, like me, to be drafting in May, but it's fun. I love it. And I'm going to get in some of this playoffs. So I didn't do any NBA like regular season stuff, but I've never played season-long fantasy basketball, actually. I've done baseball and hockey, never even done basketball, but this is different. And I love the playoff formats that they do. Essentially, you're looking to get as many players from as many teams that you think will make it to the conference championship, NBA finals. And you have a shot at winning big money by the time the playoffs wrap up. Go to underdog.fantasy.com or download their app in the App Store and sign up using the promo code Awesemo, AWESEMO. When you do, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. So use that promo code Awesemo. Do not forget, they'll double your deposit up to $100. That dance I was telling you about, only $10 to enter. So get in on it, and I'll see you in there. I'm going to do some of those tonight. I don't really know. This is the last thing I'll say, but this isn't even really a read anymore. I'm just curious to get your opinion. Like, what do you think the right strategy would be for drafting in spots, like in a playoff basketball league?
Probably something around potential matchups so that you have as many guys going deep as possible.
For sure. I'm just wondering, like, how, since it's 7-game series, I would think that even some of these peripheral players on a good team that could make it to the finals would still be very valuable if they get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would think so.
Like even a 23 minute per game guy, but rotations look a whole lot different. Anyway, use the promo code Awesemo. All right, let's talk about Houston and Toronto. We've got the Houston Rockets, 11-point dogs. Jalen Green's got 5 straight games with 30 points. Kevin Porter's lighting it up. Şengün played 36 minutes last game. All their young guys are getting a ton of run, but it's not a great matchup. Toronto is on their second of a back-to-back after that win against Philly. But anyway, is there any value here with Houston at this point?
Not really. I mean, I think Şengün maybe is still a little bit underpriced at $7K with power forward eligibility on DraftKings. But guys like Kevin Porter, Jalen Green, they give you high ceilings. Green in particular has been playing really well. Both guys are playing a ton of minutes, but the price tags have already adjusted too, so it becomes pretty difficult, especially on a slate like this where you're going to have a lot of roster spots taken up by guys in that OKC and Lakers game. It just turns into like, do I want Jalen Green or do I want Trae Young, kind of things, like, because there is so much value. And so that ends up being the issue. And I think that actually kind of applies to Şengün too, but he at least is a little bit less expensive and, is a very good point per minute guy.
On the other side, Van Vliet was just ruled out. So the NBA guides shined down upon us late in the season. Thank you.
Somebody in chat said that a Toronto beat writer tweeted out basically all the backups were expected to start. I haven't seen that though.
I haven't seen it either. So this is the crazy thing. The Raptors technically are not out of the race for the 4th seed, Adam.
Yeah, I just don't know that they care. Quentin Grimes is out for the Knicks, so that solidifies minutes for everybody.
So I'm saying they're technically not out of it. But is Nick Nurse smart enough to identify that the Sixers face Detroit and Indiana to close out the season and probably get a win in one of those games? I would say yes. On a second of a back-to-back, I wouldn't be shocked at all if these Raptors, start falling, if the dominoes start falling here. So, what we should really just do? We should just move to the next game and wait to see if we get any news on top of Van Vliet, and then we can come back to the Raptors.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right? I mean, because right now, and then we maybe get an ownership update. and it'll make our lives a little bit easier. We're here for you, right? We want to try and help you guys out. And in that same spirit, hit that thumbs up. Jordan, you're right. Going weak today. Let's get to 300 at least. I know we got less people watching than usual. We got baseball tonight, but if you're here, take just one single second and boost my ego by getting us to 300. Appreciate you guys. All right, then we'll move on. We'll come back to this one. Let's talk about Cleveland. 8.5-point dogs against the Nets. You and I have talked a lot about seeding lately. They're 7th. They're a game up on the Nets, who are 8th, who are tied in the standings, have the tiebreaker, but tied with the Hawks, who are 9th, who are one game ahead of the Hornets, who are 10th. So the play-in situation can really get tossed up a lot here.
Yeah, this is kind of the only game that truly matters from like a playoff standpoint. Obviously, neither of these teams want to be the 9 or 10 seed, and Brooklyn is tied with Atlanta in the loss column. They have the tiebreakers, so they're 8th right now, but you could very easily, assuming this game's competitive, get 40 plus minutes from Garland tonight. Makes him look okay, but still, just difficult to prioritize him compared to some of the other pay up options. But I do think he looks good. After that, though, on Cleveland, I don't really see much of anything else. Assuming Evan Mobley comes back, he's expecting to play. That's most likely taking Moses Brown out of the starting lineup. But Mobley's salary didn't drop. He's still 7,600, so pretty tough to get there on this slate. Same goes for guys like LeVert and Markkanen. So I think it's kind of Garland or bust for me from Cleveland.
Okay. On Brooklyn, I think it's a little bit at least interesting. They need a win. I mean, they'll probably get in regardless, but they could use a win. So with KI and Kevin Durant, you never know which one of these guys is going to do is going to do big things from night to night. But you also have no Jokic tonight. You have no Joel Embiid. You do have Luka Doncic, but he's a 20-point favorite against Portland. Like, do we actually have to worry about a blowout there? I think it's very possible. Yes. KD coming off a triple-double. How do you want to approach the top of the Brooklyn Nets?
I really like both KD and Irving just because there are pay-up options tonight, but you may or may not have Giannis. We know we don't have Jokic or Embiid. Luka is in a great spot in terms of point per minute production, but he's also a 20-point favorite, so that has its own concerns. But here you have a game where, Brooklyn is a 9-point favorite, but Brooklyn's also not very good. So it shouldn't be surprising if this game is competitive, throughout the entire game. Cleveland's defense isn't as good without Jared Allen, although Mobley being back should help at least somewhat. But you could conceivably get, 40 plus minutes from Durant, 40 plus minutes from Kyrie. Durant's around 1.4 DraftKings points per minute with Irving and without Harden this year. Irving, I believe, is around 1.25 to 1.3. So I think both of these guys look good. And then beyond them, a little bit of Bruce Brown or Nick Claxton is fine, but they definitely fall into the secondary play category because of all the guys on the Lakers and OKC.
Anything else from either Brooklyn or Cleveland?
No.
Giannis is expected to play, by the way. So,
oh, good.
Yep. Atlanta and Miami. All right. So here's another one. Where, and I know you don't like when I do this, but late in the season, I feel an obligation to point these things out. Okay. Atlanta's a 2-point road favorite, Adam. That's telling us something. Come on. I mean, how are they 2-point road favorites against the Miami Heat?
Who on Miami do you think is getting ruled out that matters?
I'm asking you when would the Hawks ever be 2-point favorites on the road against the Miami Heat?
I don't know. Today?
Okay. So you think this is a normal line that the Miami Heat, who are number 1 in the conference, a fantastic basketball team, going up against like a fringe playoff team in the Hawks are dogs at home? I mean, now you're just busting my balls.
I mean, okay, what's more likely, that they're 2-point dogs at home or that a bunch of dudes that are just not on the injury report and haven't been listed as out all day long are going to get ruled out in the next hour?
I'm saying at this point, it seems like they all play, but if that's the case, there's no way this closes at Atlanta -2.
Okay, I agree with that.
I'm just saying something's wonky,
Yeah, okay, I agree with that. I thought you were trying to walk me into like Jimmy Butler's about to get ruled out and Tyler Hero's about to get ruled out.
No, I'm saying the line is not what it would normally be if there were no uncertainties. Like
Sure.
That's all I'm saying. 2 is weird. Let me see if it's still at 2 because it's at 1.5. I don't know. Maybe everyone's ruled in and we get the starting lineup and it doesn't change at all. It just seems odd to me that Miami is a home dog to the Atlanta Hawks. That's all.
Yeah. And somebody in chat, obviously Miami's resting starters. Like, it's more likely than not that they aren't, but yeah.
Right. Like, I don't know. I just know when a line is not what it would be if everything was equal.
Yeah,
Or,
I agree
you
with
know,
you there. I agree with you there. I thought you were trying to suggest that it was like more likely than not that Miami's just about to rest their whole team.
Yeah. Ryan said that's low key what I'm saying. I'm not. I'm just saying the line is not normal. That's all. It's not. A pretty simple statement. You guys know what I mean. So do you. All right. Bogdanovich is questionable right now with Atlanta. Strangely, by the way, a 2-point road favorite coming into Miami. Any interest here? Oh God, look at Jordan, man. I can't take you seriously, Jordan. I can't do this. He was just like itching his face. It's with pink nails. All right, go ahead. Atlanta, what are you doing there?
So not a ton that I like. I mean, Trae Young should be playing huge minutes here. He's 10,800. I would prefer getting the Kyrie, but if you're going to get an ownership gap there, right now we have Kyrie at 13% on DraftKings. We have Young at 10, so not a big drop off. But if you're playing 150 lineups, you should be getting some Trae Young just because the ceiling is really high. I think Bogdanovich is underpriced at 5,300. He's likely to give you 28 to 30 minutes. The issue is just that, again, do you really need to go to that price range when you can potentially just save $1,500, go to the OKC game / the Lakers game, and then upgrade somewhere else? So I think he's underpriced, but I don't know how much you end up really needing to get to.
All right. I'm fine with us not spending a lot of time on Miami.
Yeah, I mean,
or on Atlanta, sorry.
I was gonna say I can do Miami very quickly too.
Yeah, Miami too, especially when all the starters get ruled out, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, assuming that the injury report is the injury report, like everybody that's on there that's questionable doesn't really matter. Gabe Vincent, Markieff Morris, Caleb Martin, Hayward Highsmith, Dwayne Dedmon, all questionable. Assuming nothing else changes, none of that matters too much. Anybody, Bam, Butler, Hero, Lowry, just not really guys I'm getting to with any frequency here because there's players that look better. They're pretty much all correctly priced if everybody is in. Obviously, if guys start getting ruled out, that changes. But for now, there's no real reason to think that's the case. The one spot that does look sort of interesting is Caleb Martin at 3,200. PJ Tucker is out, and then if maybe you were to get like Gabe Vincent out, that would help solidify minutes as well. But Martin probably plays mid-20s if he's in, and at 3,200 is a little bit underpriced, but he's still not on par with those OKC and Lakers value guys.
Okay. Oh God, A's put up 5 runs.
Yeah,
I'm assuming the bullpen came in because
no, well, 4 were Nolas. I don't know.
Oh really?
I don't know if he left with guys on base or what, but
God, he just implodes. He just implodes sometimes. Like he looked great. He cruised through the first 5 innings.
Yeah,
he's
my highest owned pitcher, and he was doing extremely well.
Yeah, he just shit the bed
again.
I
mean, he still did okay from a fantasy standpoint, but he was doing better.
Was he charged? Was he charged with 4 though?
Yeah, 6 innings, 4 earned, 7 strikeouts, 4 hits, 1 hit by pitch.
We still got the dub intact, but leave it to the bullpen. Anyway, let's keep it moving here. Andrew said, I can't find it now, but he said, y'all acting like the Hawks are trash, LOL. No, I'm acting like the Hawks should not be favored on the road against the best team in the conference. Considerably better team than the Atlanta Hawks. Not close. Anything else here on either side, or should we just keep going? We got 3 games to go.
No, I mean, that's kind of all that we have now. Obviously, if Miami does something weird, then adjust. But you shouldn't be at almost 6 o'clock Eastern, 2 hours before the game starts, when none of those players are on the injury report. You shouldn't be saying that you think they're going to sit.
Yes, you would think we would have a little bit. Although, look, let's be completely honest here. Fred VanVleet just got ruled out, and there was no indication of him sitting either. So
they were on a back-to-back and didn't have an injury report out.
They've had an injury report.
Oh, they did have. Yeah, you're right. It was out. Yeah. He wasn't on it.
It's been out for hours, but I'm just saying it happens.
Yeah, like it's not like it's the most shocking thing ever. I'm just saying
uncommon.
Right. Like
I agree.
At this point, it's less than 50% that these Miami guys sit.
I would agree. Luis Jose Lopez. You should bet that Miami line, by the way. If you you can't. Luis Jose Lopez, thank you for the super chases. I have only one lineup for tonight, small $55 tournament on FanDuel. Any must plays besides Irving, Monk, Tucker, and Gafford?
I don't even know that I would call a couple of them must plays, but
yeah, well, let's just assume that those are the guys he really likes.
Yeah, I would definitely say Gafford is not a must play, but
no.
like he's fine. So yeah, Horton Tucker, Monk. I mean, the OKC side, like Jalen Horde is 6K.
Simpson's 47.
Yeah, I mean, Horde would be towards very, very close to the top of my list.
One of those guys has to do something tonight. Like,
yeah,
multiple of them probably have quality games for their salary. All right. Charlotte and Chicago, 235 total. Charlotte, 2.5-point dogs here. Let's get into this one a little bit. So the Hornets also playing their second of a back-to-back, but this was something you actually mentioned yesterday, right? Not sure if it was with the Hornets or another team, but they still, it's feasible that they could take the 9 seed and then in a single elimination game, get a home game against the Hawks or whoever it might be, right? So the Nets, but that is likely not going to happen. So I think you probably get full run from all your starters today.
Yeah, I agree. Pascal Siakam is playing for the Raptors.
Okay.
As far as Charlotte goes, I think that there's not a ton that stands out as far as like a top play, but I do like LaMelo at 9,100. Rozier's cheap at 6,800. Washington and Bridges are both fine, but I think that Ball and Rozier are the top 2 guys. It just kind of comes back to, on a lot of slates, they would both look a lot better than they do, but because there is so much value, it pushes them down a little bit just because, like LaMelo looks very good, but there's not going to be a huge, it's not going to be very difficult to go from, let's say, LaMelo to Trae Young probably within a lineup, or to Kyrie, like whoever you prefer. So that's why relatively I don't think he's as good a play as he normally would be, but he still looks good at 9,100. I think it's pretty fair to say he's underpriced, and so is Rozier.
Okay. 2 things. My boy 08 with a super chat, Toppin and Quickly or Trent and Hero on DraftKings.
I like Toppin the most out of that entire group. Toppin, can you do Toppin and Trent?
Yeah, I was gonna say you got Toppin, you got 2 Knicks there. Toppin and Trent makes a lot of sense, especially with Toronto. You should be able to. That you have to be able to. Trent's probably cheaper than Toppin.
I'll say I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah, he's $400
Trent's
cheaper.
5,900.
He's $300 cheaper than Obi Toppin.
Yeah,
you're right. That's the better combo there. And then my filler arc, thank you, sir, says Hayward Haysmith doesn't matter. I used to respect your opinion, Adam. Really, though, is Howard Lakers worth a shot? I missed the start of the show. So I'm assuming he's joking.
He's joking about Haysmith and then just asking about Howard. If Dwight Howard starts, he's fine. He played 26 minutes yesterday. The concern would be, does Dwight Howard start on the second half of a back-to-back in this game? I have absolutely no idea. Right. But the thing is, so like the nice thing about this game, even though it's the last game, it's an island game, all of that. Let's say we don't have any reports on who's going to start for the Lakers. You play Dwight Howard. He's not starting. Wenyen and Gabriel is. It's very easy to just swap. And that goes for OKC. It goes for the Lakers. Like everybody on those teams is like the same price. It's going to be really easy to just swap guys around to whatever you need. But if he starts, yes, Howard is fine.
Okay. Anything else for Charlotte, or should we get to Chicago here?
I think that's it.
All right, let's talk about Chicago. Vooch, Levine, DeRozan. It's a very good spot. Charlotte's a bottom on the season, bottom 7 defensive rated team. They're 3rd in pace. They don't defend the 3-pointer well. It benefits a guy like Zach LaVine. You will have all 3 of them out there today, but dude, Levine's 6,900 right now. So the price just keeps falling.
Yeah, price is falling. Even on DraftKings, he looks fine at 7,700.
He's down $700 since last game. Or no, I'm sorry, I was on my fault. 69 on FanDuel, 77 on DraftKings, but still not expensive. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think he looks fine. I like Vooch a lot at 7,800. He's been playing pretty poorly too, but good matchup here against Charlotte. overall a good player in Vooch, not somebody you should be overly concerned about, I don't think. DeRozan certainly playable at 8,700 as well with all the value available on the slate. And then the only real injury news that we have right now with Levine being probable is that Alex Caruso is questionable. If he's out, it does open up more minutes for the combination of Patrick Williams, Kobe White, and Ayo Dosunmu. I don't think either one or any of them end up looking like true priorities like ahead of the OKC game, but they would certainly look better if Caruso is out.
Okay. Favorite play from this game? Is it LaMelo? Is it Levine?
LaMelo and Vooch.
Okay. Two things. And then we'll get to our last game here. We will wait, is that no, we got 2 games to go. Okay. I was going to say we can't end early. That doesn't happen here. And then we'll turn it over to Josh Engleman, Greg Ehrenberg. They're taking you up to lock and past lock to 7:30 for the Underdog sponsored NBA Live Before Lock and Post Lock show. Hang out with those guys. If you're not doing anything on a Friday night, the best place to be. So 2 things. First off, out of the gate, MLB season's underway. Use the promo code FASTBALL or just all one word, FASTBALL, all caps, or just go to awesemo.com/promos. And when you do that, you'll get an express pass for $1 single for the entire week. So MLB Express Pass, $1, player rankings, ownership rankings. You get the lineup builder and our expert Discord chat and some other stuff. Just use Fastball or go to awesemo.com/promos, which is way easier. It's good through April 11th. Jordan, we have that. We got 8 minutes to go. We have an updated Hall of Fame. All right. The people have been clamoring for a Hall of Fame. Let me see. Is it the same as... I'm checking right now. No, it's the same as yesterday, right? I'm not. Yeah, but all right, we'll skip it. So 2 games to go. By the way, almost a 300 thumbs up. 22 to go. 22. Portland and Dallas. I'm getting bitched at by Jordan for not doing it hard enough. Portland asking for likes hard enough. I don't want his antics to get. Portland and Dallas, 19.5 point spread. 19.5 points, Adam. The Blazers injury report is one of the most egregious things you'll ever look at.
It's pretty bad.
I was just going to let you go. Yeah. Bledsoe, Dunn, Hart, Ingles, Lillard, Little, Nurkic, Simons, Trendon Watford, Justice Wins. It's unbelievable. Go ahead.
Well, at least they updated it to rule out Hart and Winslow, who were questionable earlier today for some reason.
Wait, were they? Well, Winslow's been getting ruled out each game. They never ruled him out for the season.
Yeah, they were both questionable this morning.
Yeah, same with Hart. It's so stupid, man.
Yeah. So I don't think Chris Dunn being out really matters. He played 20 minutes yesterday. I assume you're going to get some more for Brandon Williams. You'll probably get Elijah Hughes in the rotation now. But price tags have come up on all of these guys. The matchup against Dallas sucks. There's no shortage of value on this slate. If you're playing 150 lineups and you end up with like some small amount of anybody from Portland, then fine. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if I didn't have anybody from Portland in anything either.
At this point, it's a team that I wish just didn't exist. But with Dallas, is there a legitimate blowout concern with Luka? And yes, I know, well aware, Luka could go 3 quarters and drop 80. I get that entirely.
Yeah, there absolutely is blowout concern. Portland is not an NBA basketball team. They are 19-point road dogs at Dallas. This game should be over after 3 quarters, if not earlier. But raw points matter here too. I mean, like, you have so many guys that are going to absolutely destroy their salaries on this slate that if Luka scores 60 in 3 quarters, like, yeah, you're going to be like, well, I wish he scored 75, but 60 is 60, you know? So like, he's still a good play here. He still can be one of the top raw scorers on the slate, but the blowout is certainly a concern given that this is just, it's like a college basketball team playing a high school basketball team.
Yeah. Like the first half spread in this game is 11.5.
I feel like that's too low.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the first half spreads are always bigger than the actual spread just because you know how blowouts go, but you think that's too low? What about 6 points in the first quarter?
I mean, obviously, like this is just, it's not like I modeled this or anything, but
just like off the top of your head.
To me, it seems low. Like I think you can name any number here and I would say that seems low, except for like the 19 points, you know, because of how blowouts tend to end. I could see that feels kind of high, but then like all those other ones feel low.
Yeah, 19.5 is a lot.
That's
But when
a
you
lot.
just when you just look at this team, they're mostly non-NBA players and certainly not an NBA team, like you said. So Dallas laying 6 in the first. It does not seem like that much at all. And wouldn't you rather go first half or first quarter than just take the whole game, because then you don't have to worry about the blowout, assuming there is one.
Yeah, and then assuming that you are being responsible and using your entire bankroll, you can fire again after halftime.
I like that. Yeah. Well, you could do first quarter, and then if you hit, go halftime, then do third quarter. Oh man, just empty it out. Do you have anything else for Dallas?
Not really. Somebody just super chatted and said that and asked about Dwight Powell with Chris and Maxey out. I think Powell plays plenty of minutes. Like, I think that Powell certainly can beat a $4,900 price tag. He's averaging around 30 minutes per game without Porzingis and Maxey this year. The issue is just that, does 30 points at 4,900 get it done? Not saying he projects for 30 points, but like that would be a pretty solid Dwight Powell game. And I just don't really think that gets it done on this slate. So not a priority. Certainly somebody that at low ownership you can get to a little bit. Same goes for Jalen Brunson, but I think Luka's really the main piece here.
Okay. Let's wrap it up. OKC. And oh no, we already did that because we're smart. Let's go to Phoenix and Utah. Our last game on the slate. Phoenix Suns, 2.5-point dogs in Utah, 228 total. It looks like Phoenix should have these guys back. Everyone's off the injury report. That does not, however, mean that they look appealing tonight in Utah.
No, I think this is a pretty unappealing spot because pricing is just correct across the board on guys like Booker, Paul, and Ayton. And I wouldn't be surprised. Actually, I would be surprised if you got 37 minutes or something from any of these guys. So that combined with it being a pretty tough matchup against Utah, I feel like Phoenix is pretty similar to Miami in that, there's some chance you're not getting full run from guys. And then also they're just priced for everybody to be in, and it doesn't leave a lot of value.
CJ, what I've learned watching these shows over the years, Americans seem to watch a lot more movies than us. I'm Australian. I have seen half of the movies haven't seen half the movies Loughy, Lindquist, T. McBee talk about. Okay, so I see what you're doing.
I'm American, neither am I.
No, you're just shitting on the red, white, and blue. I get it, pal. I see what you're doing. Calling us
Isn't Australia
lazy.
also red, white, and blue?
What's up?
Isn't Australia also red, white, and blue?
We all know what the real red, white, and blue is, Adam.
England?
Everything else is fugazi. All right. No, maybe you're right, CJ. I don't know. I've never gone around and asked. Goody said, do Jazz want to play Warriors or Mavs? Do they care? I haven't asked them, but with all the studs out, I'm wondering if we can go to this game. Mitchell, Gobert, Bogdanovich, Paul, Booker, etc. If I had to guess, and you're looking at the Jazz, do they want to play the Warriors or Mavericks? I mean, probably the Mavs, but I don't really know. This is not like, do you want to play the Brooklyn Nets or the Charlotte Hornets type deal?
Yeah, I doubt that they care too much. As far as getting to guys in this game, though, I think it's just difficult because both of these teams are good defensively, but more importantly, there's just not really any guys that stand out value-wise. Mitchell at 8,500 is fair. Gobert at 8,300 is fair. Like, there's no issue with that. But on a slate where there's so many underpriced guys, anybody that's correctly priced, just, you can't really talk about them as anything more than just, a tournament play here or there because they end up in a lineup. And that's kind of how I feel about this entire game. If I had to go to one side, I would go to the Utah side first, just because they at least have some sort of incentive here. But overall, I think this is it's one of the best games on the slate in terms of watchability, but one of my least favorite in terms of fantasy.
Hey, how about Jeff Williams? $50 super chat. Thanks for all the advice and amazing tools. Took down the 555 on DK for 50 G's. Awesome, man. Congrats. Wanted to share the love with Loughy as well. Thanks again, fellas. Yeah, man. Thank you. That's awesome. Huge win. Huge win. Congratulations. Appreciate you. All right. Let's wrap this up, man. Anything else for this game? And if not, we can touch. Did you hit on any Utah yet? I was trying to juggle everything.
Talked about Utah. We're good.
Okay, trying to read chat. You know how it goes.
Yeah, just need to go back to Toronto.
Yeah, circle back to Toronto real quick, and then we'll turn it over to Josh and Greg. Do we have an updated ownership projection?
I don't know.
I think we do. Yeah, we do. Okay, cool. That's perfect. This worked out beautifully. Sometimes
I was still looking at MLB, so
Gary Trent 25% at 5,900. I think that makes plenty of sense against the Houston Rockets. Siakam at 23%. Precious Achua game time decision, by the way, 4,200 at 12%. Honestly, I think all of these guys, specifically Trent and Siakam, are viable. I don't think Barnes is the craziest tournament play despite yesterday's ugly performance. It's just such a good spot. Like, what if Houston does keep it close?
Yeah, I mean, I think Trent looks like the top guy, followed by Siakam. Barnes is fine, but I think, a step behind them. Precious Achua, if he plays, looks okay at 4,200. Thaddeus Young played a ton of minutes yesterday. I don't necessarily expect that to happen again, but at 3,400, he's at least somebody you can gamble on in tournaments, especially if Achua were to sit. I think that would make playing time for Boucher and Young look a little bit better. So priority-wise, I think Trent 1, Siakam 2, and then just mixing in some of the cheap front court guys makes some sense as well.
Good stuff. Follow Adam at Ship My Money DFS, myself at Loughy_D. Hey, it's been a very fun season. Crazy one, insane season, really. We still got playoffs, still got baseball, UFC, Masters right now, NASCAR, all that stuff. Awesemo.com/join, by the way. But in all seriousness, great season. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Stick around. Greg and Josh coming up next, and we will still have NBA shows throughout the year, throughout the rest of the postseason. But things change up a little bit after today, at least for us two.
I'll
See you
also
back
be
here
on
soon.
tomorrow's NBA strategy show.
What? Oh, well, I meant deeper dive. Deeper dive.
Yeah, no more deeper dive.
Peace. Yeah, I'm on the Sunday strategy show. But those are a little laid back, because you're
Hungover.
Prism boxes I've been holding, and they're worth like 3x what I bought them for. My brother was telling me that like they'd be worth like a ridiculous amount if he wins because his rookie cards are in them.
Oh, if you could pull something like that. Autographs or no?
Like each box is guaranteed at least one autograph.
And we are live. Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock. It is Friday, April 8th. I am Josh Engleman. I am joined by Greg Ehrenberg. We are brought to you by Underdog, and we're just going to chat it up for 90 minutes because this is the last Live Before Lock of the work week, and we only have 2 more of these before the NBA regular season is over. Before we do anything, to the 1,300 people that are in here right now, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. The big question hanging over this slate right now, to me, very obvious. I need to get your thoughts right away. Who will be starting for the Toronto Raptors today, Greg?
The same players as yesterday, I guess.
Okay. I didn't know if we were going to do a Fred or
I just assume the same. So, I mean, I don't understand why they aren't resting more dudes.
I agree.
I mean, because I was actually the last thing I did before I logged on here, and I was texting with my friend Max, we're trying to figure out what to bet. We had both bet the Rockets earlier in the day, just assuming like for sure the Pistons are going to rest everybody today. The Raptors are going to rest everybody today. Why would they ever play guys? And now they just are. Fred VanVleet is still resting, but I mean, it's whatever. I could just cash out the bet for the exact same amount I put it down, but I thought I had a really good value bet, and I just don't because the Raptors are dumb.
Yeah, I didn't expect it. Wouldn't be surprised if they switched the lineup just to like screw with us here. We did just get news though. Evan Mobley is playing tonight and Seth Curry is available to play. Both guys were already in for me, so it doesn't really change anything, but good to see Evan Mobley back.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I felt that he should be the rookie of the year. I still think he's probably most likely to win, but another one too, where I think that there's going to be some bias now heading into the voting because the Raptors are in the playoffs. The Cavaliers are potentially not. Their betting odds are like 50-50 to make or miss the playoffs at this point. But then you also have the factor that Evan Mobley missed the final stretch, which I think a lot of people say like, hey, if he would have played, he would have helped the team. Therefore, maybe shouldn't be the rookie of the year. So that makes that probably more of a sweat than it should be. But at least for today with him in, I think he's probably going to have somewhat of a minutes restriction, correct?
Probably. I mean, yeah, probably. Like 30 feels pretty realistic for me. I don't think he's going to go to like 36, but I don't know. I mean, it was an ankle injury, so lower body, you don't tend to just dive into your minutes again, but we're going to find out.
When is the last time that and I don't think we're seeing like 22 minutes out of him, but I don't think we're seeing, a 34 to 36 that we could have seen otherwise. So he has not played since March 28th. That was the game where he rolled that ankle, got hurt. So he's missed, a few weeks here.
He's missed 5 games.
Yeah. Probably around 30 is reasonable.
In the 9 games prior to the game of the injury, he was averaging 35 minutes a game. So I think knocking that down a couple seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Who is your rookie of the year?
It's really hard for me to not be biased, but Evan Mobley, because I've been betting him since before the season started. So there's just no way for me to look at this not objectively.
That's fair. I think that Evan Mobley has done the one individual thing better than anybody else, and that would be defense. So I'm more than okay with saying that it's Mobley. And it's exciting too.
Yeah, but I mean, if Barnes was to win, I wouldn't be like aggrieved about it. I think that's more than reasonable. Obviously, my preference would be for Mobley to win, but Barnes has been really, really good as of late.
Yeah, Cade certainly picked it up too over the past month and a half, 2 months, which is good to see.
This draft class is ridiculous.
Maybe.
I mean, it's in terms of depth, there's so many NBA players in it.
That I agree with.
If you go through the list of guys that were drafted, like you'd be hard pressed to find somebody that's like, oh, I'm confident this guy is going to be a bust.
And the real wild thing is the guy that's probably like the biggest bust so far is the guy that I thought probably had like the highest floor for this particular season coming in. Like I did not expect Jalen Suggs to be as bad as he is.
Yeah, and Jalen Green was terrible in the first half of the season, but he's more than made up for it in the second half. And the way he's trending looks like he's going to be good. But yeah, I would agree. Jalen Suggs, probably of the guys picked in the top like 8 or so, probably looks like the weakest prospect right now.
Yeah, probably. I love the draft. I love everything about the NBA. Josh hates the Magic. I don't hate the Magic. I actually love Fultz. I think he gets a raw deal. I like the fit for Suggs. Like, I think Franz Wagner's awesome. I like Wendell Carter Jr. a lot. I thought that trade from Chicago was terrible for the Bulls. Like, I actually like the Magic a lot. For some reason, they just suck.
I think we have to address this too, because I don't know. People throw this nonsense out all the time. Somebody was telling me this earlier on Twitter before too, where Carmelo Anthony's a better hooper than Nikola Jokic. So it's like debatable which one's better. Something I don't know what the point was, but somebody in YouTube chat is saying this too. Suggs is a basketball player, not a hooper.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know what that means either. It's like this weird terminology people throw out that means absolutely nothing.
I'm not sure. I could light the chat on fire with a Melo take. I'm not sure that Melo ever had a year better than Jokic.
No, that's not even a hot. Jokic is about to win his second consecutive MVP.
Yeah,
that's not a hot take.
2014 Melo was probably better than one random Jokic year, but
yeah, no, I mean, not only is Jokic about to win his second consecutive MVP, Melo never even made a first team All NBA.
Is that? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense. I hadn't really thought about it, but I think I remember hearing that it made second a few times. Correct?
I think like 5 times. I have to look at his Wikipedia page.
Oh man, that's the least controversial thing I've ever said. That's fun.
It's really not though. Let's see. Melo. Oh no, only 2 second All NBA teams. I thought he had 5. He's 2 second teams, 4 third teams, so 6 overall.
Lauren Page said his rookie year was better than Jokic. That's not even remotely close to true. 43% true shooting for Carmelo Anthony in his rookie season. That ain't it.
No, and I mean, I have to remember. I guess you can make a stand. You can make case. Well, Jokic didn't play in his rookie year. I don't even remember if that's the
1,700 minutes, 58% true shooting, worth 10 wins on dunks and threes. He had a 90th percentile offensive rebounding rate, 90th percentile defensive rebounding rate, a 75th percentile assist rate. He was awesome right out of the gate in his rookie year. Jumped up to 64% true shooting in his second year. He's been amazing from the jump.
Yeah, remember there was when Mike Malone was trying to start him and Nurkic in the front court together, and he made Nurkic so upset that they had to give him away for nothing.
And then they did it again with Mason Plumlee. Basically the same scenario, playing Jokic alongside of another center. Like, whew, boy, oh boy, they're late to the party. We got a couple super chats since we got started, so I think we should probably hit on those before we move on too much further. My filler arc with the super chat said, Greg, you talked me off of Jaylen Brown yesterday, and I only lost by 210 points. Talk me off of Malik Monk and Kyrie, or are they worth having? They're worth having.
So, by the way, as for Jaylen Brown, and I'll take my L's when they're deserved. I'll certainly take my L when Tiger makes the cut today. But Jaylen Brown, I had said for yesterday, I wouldn't play him in a cash game, but I had said that he was worth being overweight to in tournaments, but that he was risky and that I wouldn't want my entire slate to be focused on him. That aside, he did score roughly 210 fantasy points yesterday. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Michael McKinney, favorite 3 payups, favorite 3 values. I don't know which site.
It's FanDuel.
Okay. Oh, it's the same guy from yesterday.
Yeah, he's left the same question every slate this year. So
appreciate you.
I know where his head is at. Pay up options today. Let's see. So my FanDuel build right now. Let me sort these. By the way, also same situation yesterday that applies to today. Some of these dudes, I have no clue what the minutes are going to look like. Like, is Giannis playing a full minutes allocation today?
I don't know.
But
he's the guy. Like, to me, it's Giannis and then Luka. I don't trust either one of their situations today.
Yeah, so same for me. I think it's Giannis and Luka. But once again, if you tell me these dudes play 15 minutes today, I couldn't be shocked at that potential outcome. Same goes for like Pascal Siakam, because I have no clue what the motivation is for the Raptors to play guys full minutes. But at least as things stand right now, there is reason to think that the Mavericks and the Bucks both want to win these games. The Bucks could wrap up the second seed with either a win or a Celtics loss in one of their combined final 3 games of the season. And then the Mavericks are also still jockeying for position. So when Giannis was downgraded to questionable in the day, I thought for sure that meant he wasn't going to play. And then he got upgraded to probable. I was like, what the hell is this? But for now, I think we have to say it's Giannis and Luka, especially because there's so much value that it's not hard to get to them.
Yeah, they are my 2 preferred pay-up options. I want to hit on all the news that just came in. Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, Dwayne Dedman, Markieff Morris, all on track to play. Zach LaVine in, Alex Caruso out. So there's that. Don't think that matters really all that much, but other than
there's enough value where the Caruso news is not really all that significant at this point. By the way, as for the other part of his question, the best value plays, I guess it depends what number we're considering a value, but Malik Monk is one of them for sure. I mean,
Taylor Norton Tucker is number 1.
Taylor Norton Tucker, Malik Monk, and then there's a pretty steep drop off.
Stanley Johnson, if we're talking about like actual value, he's flat minimum.
Xavier Simpson,
probably. I mean, Precious Achiuwa's 3,900. He played, we don't know if he's playing today, but he played a crisp 40 minutes yesterday. Going to be a good play at 3,900 if he plays 40 minutes again.
Yep. We just need word if he's in or not, which if he is, I assume he's going to play a whole bunch. Well, actually, I can't even confidently say he's going to play a whole bunch. This game means nothing for Toronto. Standings wise, this game is 0 significance. It's a tail end of the back-to-back, and they're playing a terrible team in the Houston Rockets. So I put all that together. I don't know why Precious would play that many minutes, but he did it yesterday. So I guess if he's in again, if he's not, then Chris Boucher, 4,600.
I mean, clearly you're not paying attention. It means something. They have a 1% chance to be the 4 seed or a 1% chance to be the 6 seed. So let's not poo-poo those numbers.
Means absolutely nothing. With that said, I said for the longest time that I thought the Lakers games meant nothing because they were going to be in the playing game as long as they didn't lose the rest of their games. Then they actually lost the rest of their games.
It's incredible. Gray with the super chat. Top 10 with Boucher last night. Yeah, that's a tough beat. That Boucher is the one that gets 25 minutes. Thad Young gets 31 and Precious gets 40. Like, that's not how I thought that would have broken. I thought that Boucher would have been the guy that got the bit of a bump. So tough beat there for Gray. Who's your favorite sub 15% owned guy on FanDuel? Let's see what we got here.
Sub 10%.
Sub 15%.
Oh, sub 15. All right. So let me pull up the ownership to make sure I'm looking at the most recent numbers. Sub 15.
I got my answer.
It would be Isaiah Roby, but he is over that number right now. Barely. Isaiah Roby is
Precious Achiuwa available to play today.
Oh, never mind. You know what the answer for me is, Roby. Roby's 14.6.
Oh, did we get an update? It was 15 point something before. Yeah. I guess we were probably both looking at the previous one. Let me dump our new ownership in. The answer is probably still Precious for me, but let me just see now that we have this update. And not Gabby Sidibe either.
and not Smeagol.
No.
Yeah, it's Roby for me.
Ooh. Trae Young is 14.6%. That's just a very different play in that range. I actually have Roby by 1/10 of a point over Precious Achiuwa in this spot.
There we go.
So they are my 2.
Same page.
Scotty Barnes is close as well. 7,300.
I'm still, I do not know what to make of the Raptors minutes.
No, same. I mean, Precious played 40 minutes yesterday, and I think it's still weird. So I don't know what they're going to do. Aiden Jones, favorite utility play, 3,800 and below, not named Sims or THT.
All right. So it can't be, okay. I've just pulled up my baseball lineups. That is not going to help. So 3,800 or below.
I have my answer. I just hate it.
Yeah, I'll see. It can't be Sims. It can't be Taylor Horton Tucker. So THT would be the first one.
I don't even think Sims is my second answer.
He's also 3,900, so he doesn't fit the criteria anyway.
Who?
Didn't he? He said 38 and below, didn't he?
Utility. So DraftKings.
I know, but he said 38 and below.
Yeah.
Sims is 3,900 though, so it couldn't be him anyway.
Sims is 3,700.
On DK?
That's what I have.
Oh, never mind. I was thinking Xavier Simpson.
Oh, that's a different person.
Yes, it is a different person. I just had the name wrong in my head.
I was like, dude, I'm looking at I can't imagine this one individual.
Oh,
salary is the one that's wrong.
It's Stanley Johnson for me.
It's Stanley Johnson for me as well. It's not really all that close either, and that's what I don't like because it's Stanley Johnson.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many guys that are out for the Lakers that I don't even hate it. I know that it's still Stanley Johnson, but I think there's like Dwight Howard might not play today. DJ Augustine might not play today. I think Stanley Johnson, and I think Stanley Johnson probably plays no matter what. So I feel pretty good giving that answer.
Okay. Rosso Music's got us with our tiers question for today. Are you ready?
I am. Oh, actually, let me pull up the super chat and scroll to it because or else I'm not going to remember all the names. Yep, I'm ready now.
All right. Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, Cade Cunningham, RJ Barrett, Kevin Porter Jr. I'm highlighting these. That's why I'm taking so long. And Drew Holiday. I have this one as not particularly close.
Let's see. That is RJ Barrett for me.
Okay. I have it as Donovan Mitchell. RJ Barrett would be second. So, we'll say consensus answer RJ Barrett, take the flyer on Donovan Mitchell if you need to. I can say this. It's not Kevin Porter.
So I'll tell you why I gave the answer I did. I have Donovan Mitchell projected slightly higher, but I feel better about the Knicks running RJ Barrett out for as many minutes as he could handle, more so than I do about Donovan Mitchell getting all of his minutes.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Devin Booker owns Utah. I don't know if that's true. I assume it's not.
Yeah, I mean, he might have had a couple of good games against them. I'm sure it can't be anything like yesterday. I'm doing the baseball show and people in chat are telling me you can't play Yu Darvish against the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks own Yu Darvish. It's like, with players in the past that are no longer on the team.
Oh God, it's terrible. How many times has he played against the Diamondbacks too?
I don't know. He probably pitched against them like 4 times last year. Had 3 good outings and 1 terrible one that blew up all his numbers, if I had to guess.
Let's see. Donovan Mitchell. Sorry, that's not the right thing to type in here. Devin Booker against the Jazz. He's played 22 games against the Jazz in his career. He has averaged 24, 4, and 3. Now, some of those games were early in his life, but over the past 5 times that he has played the Utah Jazz, he's scored 30, 43, 33, 31, and 35. That's interesting.
Is he the mayor of Utah now?
I don't know. 3 straight games north of 50 fantasy points. Interesting to see.
How many of those was Chris Paul out for?
I have no idea. Just a quick stat muse search.
Yeah.
Let's see. Evan Mobley returns from a 5-game absence. Sources say that he will start at center and be on a slight minutes restriction.
30 to
basically
30 minutes.
Yeah, basically exactly the way that we talked through it to start.
Yeah.
Would you be underweight to the Monk ownership on FanDuel?
Let's see. What is the most recent number? Off the top of my head, the answer is no, unless it's something egregious.
45? I doubt it.
Nope. That's a number to be overweight too, in my opinion.
I don't think that I would be. So, no.
He's going to play a shit ton of minutes and take a lot of shots.
You would think. Coach Spoelstra said the Heat won't rest their starters.
Yeah, 37 minutes with a 25.7% usage rate. So, nope, I would say still be overweight to Malik Monk, or at least close with the field.
Who's the most over-owned play today?
Ooh, okay. Let's see. Most over-owned. I'll do DraftKings first.
I think there's a pretty easy answer. Easy might not be the right word.
It's fun. Taylor Horton Tucker is projected for all of the ownership, and it is more than warranted, in my opinion.
Yeah. To me, he can only fail in theory by an injury. I don't think he can play today and be a problem.
For me, it's
He's
Gary
just too
Trent.
Okay. I was going to say Xavier Simpson.
6 foot tall, only has a hook shot.
Yeah, I watched the highlights of that hook shot. Like, he could just not be able to score enough that his $3,900 salary isn't all that interesting. Like, he's $3,900. I have him projected. So essentially the same salary as THT. I have them separated by basically 10 fantasy points.
Yeah. Well, I mean, THT is just like THT should be one of the most expensive players on this slate, just considering the circumstance.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's see, where do I have him in just raw points? I have him 22nd just in raw points today, which is kind of crazy for a guy that's 3,800.
Yeah, I've been projected for 39.5 fantasy points.
There you go. Anything cool happen? Tiger get like an albatross or anything?
No, he's been terrible today, but he's gotten every single bounce off a tree. Every single putt that's hit a lip has gone in.
If you told me that he had 6 bogeys today, I'd be like, oh shit, here we go. And he's just gonna skate.
When I messaged you earlier, his odds of making the cut on Data Golf were 40%.
Yeah, when you messaged me, he had bogeyed 4 out of the first 5 holes. And the moment I turned it on, he birdied, and I was just like, I gotta turn this shit off.
I don't think you impacted his play. The other thing that was funny about it too is when he was struggling at the starters round, he was limping around. He was using his putter as like a cane, and he was like having trouble reading the putt. As soon as a couple putts started rolling in, he was moving around just fine.
Olrat wants to know if he should switch from OKC value to Toronto. I don't know. Depends what your lineup looks like.
I prefer the OKC guys, but I mean, it's also those are
depends what you're switching.
But those are also wildly different. Like if you just have the salary flexibility, it's like, do I play Xavier Simpson or do I play Pascal Siakam? Like a lot of those guys are wildly different in price ranges.
Yeah, it sort of depends on who you have. If you're asking me if you should play like Xavier Simpson or Precious Achiuwa, like I would rather play Precious Achiuwa. But like
I would rather play Simpson personally.
If Simpson's 41% owned and Precious is 11, I would rather play Precious Achiuwa. Precious Achiuwa played 40 minutes yesterday. And he's an actual NBA player.
Here's what's dumb about this part of the season, though. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's the tail end of a back-to-back. They're playing a terrible Houston team, and the game is not significant for the Raptors. Does 40 minutes mean he plays 40 minutes again, or does 40 minutes mean that he now has to play like 18?
I have no idea. No idea. There's Jason Finn with a terrible take as per usual. Josh trying to get the field off Simpson. Watch and see Simpson in the winning lineup. I mean, I'm sure that he could be in the winning lineup. I share my screen with all my projections pretty regularly. I got him projected for 28.5 fantasy points. I'll tell everybody everything that I have. I wouldn't have him at 41% ownership on DraftKings. I don't think his value is necessary. Is he a good point per dollar play? Absolutely. Do I understand why he's getting owned? Absolutely.
And I don't know the answer to this question, but I presume I know the answer to this question. Josh, if you were building a cash game lineup right now on DraftKings, would Xavier Simpson be in it?
Probably, yes.
Yeah. So does Josh dislike Xavier Simpson? No, he just thinks that he's a little bit too popular, which I think is a more than reasonable take. See, there's also, there's a difference between outright hating a player, just thinking or being different on a projection versus thinking somebody is too popular. So then you have to ask for who was it in chat that asked that question?
Jason Finn.
So Jason, what do you think is appropriate ownership for Xavier Simpson? Should he be 90% owned today? Should he be 70% owned? Like at what number would you say he's overowned? I think that's a relevant discussion to have about him.
Let's see what my optimal is right now, and if Simpson's in it. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not, just because there's so much value that you stop needing the all the way pay down guy that doesn't fit. Like, I might get Stanley Johnson over him, and I don't think it's going to be all that crazy. Now, I might make an adjustment for that from a cash perspective just to take the ownership, but it also depends what kind of cash contest I'm in.
Yeah. But by the way, he is in my highest projected lineup.
He is not in mine. Stanley Johnson is the guy in that salary slot instead.
Which I also don't think is crazy.
No, like those guys are very comparable today. Simpson is in only one of my top 20 lineups, but it's fifth, which is 1.3 fantasy points away from my main lineup. Like, that's not, if I gave Simpson one more minute, like, this might entirely change. But I think it's close. I'm certainly playing Monk and Tucker and Horde and Luka in everything.
I have Simpson project better than Stanley Johnson, but not by a ton. And he has, like 1.5x the ownership. It's not crazy to want to play more of Stanley Johnson than Xavier Simpson on DraftKings in tournaments, just based on the ownership projections.
Let's hit on two things quickly. I keep getting into some of these super chats. One, free content for today. NBA ownership rankings are free. You guys should go check those out. MLB player rankings, NHL player rankings, and MMA pro plays. They will help you out for tomorrow for sure. So make sure you're checking out all of that free content. But what we really need to do now is talk about the sponsor of this bad boy. That would be Underdog. I love having them as a sponsor. I certainly use their product. I don't dabble as much into best ball as some of the other people that I work with, but I probably should, particularly for the NBA. I think I made a pretty big mistake not trying to get into more best ball before the season started, because it is the sport that I know the best. And I think that would pay some dividends for some sort of late round picks, but that's neither here nor there. Right now, they have a contest called The Dance. It is open until April 16th. So 7 more days, whatever that is, until the playoffs start. There are $200,000 in total prizes, $30K to first. And now is the time that you can draft that team for the playoffs. You pick the players from teams you think will make the conference finals and the NBA finals. You have a chance to win big money by the time the playoffs wrap up. Go to underdogfantasy.com, download the app in the App Store, sign up with the promo code Awesemo, and Underdog will double your first deposit to $100. So if you put in 100, they're going to give you 100. The dance is $10 to enter. That's 20 entries if you want it. So download the app, try it out, take your shot at the $30K on the dance at Underdog. Greg, how do you feel about Underdog?
I do like Underdog. As it pertains to best ball, I want some of the scoring to be changed, just because I don't like the idea that you play a regular season that lasts for 60-70% of the season, and then you get into the playoffs. It's like, here's what happens this week, and then one of your key players rests and your entire team is dead. In general, though, there's been so much value in best ball on both Underdog and DraftKings over the last couple of years, because there's been contests with overlay, but then number two, also the fields are not sharp. Like, Josh Giddey was an undrafted player in best ball leagues this year, and he was obviously very good for fantasy. And we all knew coming into the season he was going to start. So there's a lot of edge there. And it actually, the most fun part about it is drafting teams.
Oh, for sure. There's no reason that the only reason that playoffs exist in real sports is for money and television. They shouldn't exist the way that they are in fantasy sports.
Yeah, and the other thing also with best ball, we had projections up on the site this year also, and I believe they were free if I'm not mistaken. So if you guys are looking for information, we have it there.
Caleb McLean had the question, do it in the last half hour if this is a bad time, but would you guys care to give your thoughts on Lakers prize picks props? We can do that now.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem doing it now, at least.
Nope, I'm going over to prize picks right now, and I'll check out some of the Lakers guys. I'm actually pretty curious to see where they have Taylor and Tucker and Malik Monk.
Where are we hiding? Let's see. Where is that? Prize picks NBA player prop tool. Let's clap that boy up.
20. By the way, the over-under for points for Monk and Tucker is 23.5 over on prize picks.
So we have Talen Horton-Tucker over in assists as the biggest expected winning percentage of anyone on the Lakers for tonight. We have it at 5.9. The prop line is 5. Just for reference sake, I have it at 5.8. So I'm right there with it.
I have 5.4, so also the over, but not quite as aggressive. I do prefer Malik Monk over on points to his over assists.
We actually prefer the under on points. We have him
Not
at 22.9. I have him at 21.8.
Give me the over on Malik Monk's points. He is going to chuck, and he's going to play a lot of minutes.
The second best option that we have here, we have basically 2 that are really high. The rest are kind of packed together. Dwight Howard over 10 rebounds. I got him at 12.2. The site has him at 11.1. So I like it even more than we do. Where do you land on Dwight Howard?
If I had to take a side, it would be the over, but I'm very scared that he doesn't play at all today. That would not be shocking to me.
No, it would not.
My gut feeling, if you asked, if somebody had a gun to my head and they wanted to know the Lakers starting lineup, just one of these crazy Lakers fans on Twitter that are convinced I hate them because I bet on them to miss the playoffs, which have nothing to do with me hating the team. It has to do with me thinking they were overrated this year. And if one of those people said, I'm going to kill you if you don't tell me who starts at center for the Lakers today, I would say it's Wenyen Gabriel.
Okay. Yes, I'm sure with the super chat. Obi Toppin or Isaiah Roby on FanDuel, they are the same price, $6,500. I think this one's not that close.
It was Toppin and Roby?
Roby, yes.
Oh, Roby.
Yes, I agree. Roby, I have by quite a few. My filler arc says, I can already see it. Simpson, 210 points today.
He's gonna pull a Will Chamberlain.
He just might.
And nobody know, because just like when Will Chamberlain played, nobody was watching Oklahoma City Thunder games.
Deacon to the legend with the super chat. Josh, thanks again for the process. I'm visually impaired, but we are still able to keep up because of your verbal explanations on all the best plays every day. Thanks. You're welcome. I never thought about that. I'm glad that I always assumed that I probably did a bad job of speaking what's on the screen. So it's nice to know that for the person that it matters to more than anybody else, that it doesn't appear to be the case.
Yeah, I wish I couldn't see Josh sometimes.
Well deserved. Well deserved. Jeff Williams with the super chat. Don't know why you're sending that in here. What do you need us for? You just won $50K yesterday. Should I play Gafford, Gabriel, Reeves, or Stanley Johnson as the last man in a high dollar GPP on DraftKings?
Stanley Johnson for me.
I mean, a little bit of this has to do with the rest of your lineup construction. Like, is Stanley Johnson the answer to you if you're right and Wenyen Gabriel is the starting center for the Lakers?
Yeah, that wouldn't really have too much of a difference. Actually, let me check. Well, Daniel Gafford was actually it's going to be Gafford for me. He was confirmed as starting. I have Gafford projected a little bit higher. Gafford. I answered a little too quickly.
Stanley. It's still Stanley for me if I'm going for raw projection. I don't even know where Reeves is, so I assume it's not him. It's either Gafford or Stanley Johnson for me.
Yes. And I am leaning towards Gafford right now.
Taka Molson. Is Thad Young no longer viable with Precious in on DK? Is Thomas Bryant too cute for the DK slate with the OKC and LA chalk included on DraftKings? So 2-part question. I think Thad Young is very viable if his ownership is right. But we have no reason to suspect that he's going to play 30 minutes again. But if he does, a 5% owned Thad Young could be a slate breaker. Thoughts?
I assume that Thad Young does not play 30 minutes again. There's been no player that I've had a worse time projecting minutes for this year than Thad Young. But that game came so far out of nowhere. Here's his minutes over the last couple of weeks are absolutely absurd. 15, 15, 16, 28, 17, 12, 18, 15, 31. So it's like once every couple of weeks, like let's give Thaddeus Young 30 minutes for no reason at all.
Yeah, I don't trust it. I like him as a flyer in a larger field GPP just because there's no reason to, like, if it happens again, $3,400 Thad Young at 30 minutes is a guy that you would project as one of the best plays of the day. So I think there's a little bit of gap between where his ownership is and sort of what his upside entails. I wouldn't be like trying to get to him a lot. And Precious is, to me, pretty clearly a better option.
Yeah, I think Precious is a better option than Thad Young. I do think Precious is a better option than Thad Young. But once I don't know what to make of any of those minutes.
Is Thomas Bryant too cute on DK? I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Flat 3K, but it just doesn't matter. Deacon to the Legend, follow-up chat. Best center play in a FanDuel single entry.
Best center play, FanDuel single entry.
I've got 3 answers, and they're sort of at different price tiers. 2 of them are kind of similar, but I got 3 answers for you. I'll let you hit it first.
It's Roby for me.
Okay. I think that Vooch at 7,100 is probably the best overall answer. I think Roby is very, very similar. I have a hard time separating those two guys. They are close to each other, and I've been eschewing the virtues of this gentleman for most of this show. So Precious Achiuwa is 3,900. I would be happy to go there as well. That's a very different lineup construction. Like comparing Vooch and Roby to Precious is changing something pretty majorly at a different position. So it kind of depends on what else you've got and if you have the ability to upgrade.
How absurd is it that we've gotten to a point in the season where Vooch and Roby are nearly the same price on FanDuel, and we're looking at it like, yeah, Roby over Vooch, and they have the same ownership.
Yeah, like I don't have them relative to salary. They have them basically different by a point. Would not have expected that. Oh man, Chris Middleton will start. Holiday, Matthews, Middleton, Giannis, Lopez for the Bucks. Pistons will start Cunningham, Hayes, Livers, Bay, and Stewart. Cavs will start Garland, Okoro, LeVert, Markkanen, and Mobley. So nothing there that is all that crazy to me. Wizards will start Satoransky, Kispert, Avdia, Hachimura, Gafford. And Bogdan Bogdanovic and Lou Will are still both game time decisions. Justo with the super chat. And before we go any further, 1,770 people in here, 414 likes. No reason we shouldn't be at 500 right now. There are 1,300 people in here that definitely haven't hit the like button yet. Can we at least get 85 of you to hit it now? That seems like a light ask for a free show. Super chat. Well, the membership message was power forward under 5K on FanDuel. That's for Justo.
All right. Under 5K.
This one's easy. I'm excited for my answer.
It can't be 5K. It has to be under 5K.
He wrote power forward under 5K, which implies that it's 4,900.
Okay. So Hachimura for me.
Precious Achiuwa, baby.
I love it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in his minutes?
I don't even know what I have him projected for. 5?
I feel better.
Projected for 30 minutes.
Okay. So for me, the answer is Hachimura, just because Washington they've established at this point. They are shutting guys down. They've ruled out Kuzma for the season. They've ruled out Porzingis for the season. KCP out for the season. Beal's been out for a while. Hachimura's not just in there for them right now, but he's also seen his minutes get extended as the years got on. He had such a weird start to the season. He was away for personal reasons and mental health issues. And then he rejoined the team. He was coming off the bench. He was playing a lot of minutes. He was legitimately solid for them last year. Now the minutes are starting to trend up. So last couple of games, 38 and 32 minutes. And now we also are taking those other guys out of the mix for Washington. So I think he's going to be somebody who plays mid-30s the last couple games of the year. And I feel really confident in his playing time, more so than I do in Precious's.
Precious's. Up to 550 likes.
Nice.
Mike L with the super chat. LeVert and Sims or Johnson and Roby in a FanDuel GPP. Is that
which
Stanley?
Stanley Johnson? I need let's see. So there's Stanley
Keon?
Johnson,
It's gotta be
Keon
Keon.
Johnson, Cam Johnson. I assume it's not Jalen Johnson or David Johnson.
I think it's got to be Keon, right? Because Keon would be closer in price to Levert.
Well, just because of, I guess it has to be Keon Johnson just because of positions.
Yeah. I'm with you. So it's Keon Johnson and Roby. I lost Roby now. What's Roby's salary? 60 something.
65.
54 and Keon and Roby. So that's going to be 65 and a half, or Levert and Sims. Maybe that doesn't work out. Maybe it is Stanley Johnson.
But the positions wouldn't make sense then, would they?
I can't figure out who it is. Mike L. Who are you actually asking us for? Can't just use Johnson as a last name. Let's go to Mixed Stars Online's question. Well, two questions. FanDuel GPP. Would you take Gafford with Porzingis out? Yes. If so, I have 9,100 left for a guard, point guard or shooting guard. Who would you take?
By the way, Mike followed up. It is Stanley Johnson. You didn't have to leave us another super chat though. You could have just said Stanley in the
we would have got you
in the chat. We would have known. So Stanley, that is Stanley Johnson and Isaiah Roby for me then.
Yeah, agreed. $9,100 point guard or shooting guard on FanDuel. I mean, 9K gets you Garland. That's where I would want to be.
Let's see. Where was that question?
It's Mixed Stars Online. Are you okay with who's your best $9,100 guard?
9,100. Oh, so FanDuel 9,100 for a shooting guard or a point guard.
I don't think there's many choices other than Garland or LaMelo.
That is LaMelo for me.
Okay. Either one of those works for me. Like I don't care at all. Mike L, thank you very much. 6:48, man. We're 12 minutes away from lock here. Tiger Woods is tied for 19th, which really just makes me want to drink bleach.
And also, Scotty Scheffler's up by 1 million strokes now. Every time I look down, he's hit a shot very close to a pin.
Yeah, so I did bet that the winner of the tournament would win by 4 or more strokes, which is starting to look pretty good. Unfortunately, it's not looking as good for my Harold Varner outright, but he is 7th, so I need Scheffler to just tumble. I also have HV3 to top 5 for a decent amount, so go HV3. That's all I could talk about now. Otherwise, everything else that I did for the Masters is taking a beating. And the cut is going to be 4.
Yeah. So, by the way, Tiger has officially made the cut. I know because I just checked my Twitter and a bunch of notifications of people alerting me to the fact that he's officially made the cut now.
Yeah, sucks. Look, the worst part now is that I don't think he has any chance to win, and he's just going to be an annoyance. Like, I don't want to watch Tiger play on Sunday unless he's in contention.
Yeah. By the way, Scotty Scheffler just made another birdie, so 8 under for him now.
Damn.
He's
on
birdied
a really difficult day. He is just going insane.
Yep.
No way
everybody
someone
else
wins by
sucks.
more than 4. Well, right now, Scotty Scheffler, I believe, is either up 4 or 5. So
He's up 5. He is at 8 under. Matsuyama, Schwartzel, Lowry, and Im are all 3 under.
Yeah, let me look at. Is that bet any good? Probably not. I did it, so. You seeing anything? Who that isn't Taylor Horton Tucker is your most exposed player? Would that be Monk?
Yes. Taylor Norton, Tucker, and Monk are going to have to do basically everything for Lakers. That's what they did last night also.
Guys, I don't hate Tiger Woods. It's not hate against Tiger. What do you like? He's the reason I was on the golf team in high school.
If you place a bet on something because you think it's good value, like you could make bets that are not emotional. You make bets because you think it makes money. And even so, Josh and I had both bet Tiger Woods to miss the cut. We're on the wrong side of that. Very clear. Very clear. I'll make fun of myself. I'll post the ticket of it on Twitter. I got lucky. I said this yesterday because it was pretty apparent yesterday that at least at the time of the round end yesterday, he was going to make the cut. Although then when he started by making 4 bogeys in the first 5 holes, whatever it was, then it didn't look like he was going to make the cut. But now he's made it. I'm happy that DraftKings at least limited the bet so that I couldn't bet as much as I wanted on it, or else I would have really taken a bath on it.
Right.
But he also he closed at minus 190 to miss the cut, so it could have been cashed out for a profit.
Yeah. Apparently they were great bets. They just didn't win. Like, we got significant value on the closing line.
I felt good about it. I felt bad about it yesterday and felt good about it this morning and bad about it now.
Yeah. I love Tiger Woods. If he could win the Masters today or on Sunday, it would be incredible television and I would be pumped. I've been a fan of his since I was 15 years old. He's the reason I played golf. I assumed him shattering his leg was going to be a problem, and I wanted to bet against him to miss the cut here. I don't think that's outlandish.
Yeah, and once he started the day very poorly, he was limping around the golf course, and then he was good after that.
I thought he was a robot before, and now he's like part robot to begin with, and it makes way more sense now that you think about it.
But now we got one guy in the chat complaining, "Why do you like Tiger?" Yeah, that's how the turntables.
Yeah, he is going to be an annoyance now because I don't think that he's going to be in contention, and I don't think it's fun to watch Tiger get monopolized television coverage to shoot 28th.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page with that.
Yeah, I just want to watch I want to watch the best competition. That's all.
Now, with that said, I'm not going to have that much interest in watching a tournament where Scotty Scheffler's up by like 10 strokes on Sunday either.
I will if he's going to win by 4. That's my only interest piece. 2 more super chats before we're getting a little bit closer to lock. Justin Alberto, Gafford or Sims on both sites?
Gafford over Sims for me.
I don't know my answer, so I have to look it up. Sims. Gafford by a mile on FanDuel.
Sims is not. I know that he's had some better games
Gafford
lately.
by a mile on both.
Sims has not been a good fantasy producer this year.
No.
I know it's a different situation. Randall's out. The Knicks are shorthanded. Thibodeau's more willing to play guys extended minutes at this point. But Gafford's a better fantasy producer.
Jeff Williams, Trent or Toppin on a DK GPP?
That's
I assume it's
Toppin
Trent, but I don't know. Ooh, okay. I don't have a quick answer, so I have to look it up.
It's
Toppin.
It's mostly because I think they should be projected relatively close, and I just do not know what to make of the Raptors playing time.
I have Toppin, actually, so I'll go Toppin.
Anything to me, if you're a toss-up between a Raptors player and another player, I say that you should go against the Raptors player just because there's a very strong chance that none of their starters play more than 20 minutes.
There's also a very strong chance that they all play 44.
Yes. That there's also a possibility of that happens, but there's no chance of Toppin unless something, like totally out of the realm of, an injury or he fouls out really quickly. There isn't a realistic scenario to me where Toppin plays like 20 minutes.
No, I'm with you. Whew, 6 minutes to go until lock. It's a pretty tame slate.
Yeah, because everybody that should have rested didn't rest.
Yeah. I thought we were going to get more news. Knicks starting lineup: Burks, Fournier, Barrett, Toppin, Sims. So nothing crazy there. Nets: Irving, Curry, Brown, Durant, Drummond. So nothing crazy there. We're just getting a lot of exactly what we expected. No Maxi Kleber tonight for Dallas. That matters for the rest of the guys on Dallas. Certainly doesn't matter in their likelihood of success.
Kleber was in no way was he a factor for today's slate.
No, not at all. I don't think it changes anything. Whoa. Walmart's Rob Walton is set to make an offer for the Denver Broncos with a bid expected to be worth more than $4 billion with a B. That's a lot. It's a lot of billion for the Broncos, which really makes me wonder what some other teams could potentially sell for. Cheesy T, Rozier or Roby? Same price on DraftKings.
Let's see, Rozier or Roby. Off the
That's
top
Roby.
of my head, I feel like that is Roby, but I'm going to double check here. Yeah, that's Roby for me.
Yeah, we're on the same page there. No other news. Lonnie Walker and Jock Landale not on the injury report. That's not a today thing, but that is news.
Dejounte Murray ever going to play again?
I hope so.
Like a week ago, Pop said he was fine, and they upgraded him to probably was on track to play, and then he got late scratch. Never played him since.
Yeah, I don't know if he's got like full blown AIDS or what, but it's not going great for him.
Nah, it's like super AIDS or something. I don't know. It's been tough sledding for him. He did have, I think he posted about it on social media. He has some kind of infection. He lost a bunch of weight.
Yeah, that's nuts. 3 minutes to go. Scotty Schefter, 8 under. Good for him. That is interesting to me. I should have bet on him. Ryan Houston wants to know any Brandon Williams. I don't think you can. I assume he's on the same sort of minutes limit he was on yesterday.
Yeah. And what did he play yesterday? He played. Brandon Williams is also not good.
He played like 23 minutes or something, just off the top of my head.
It was 17.
No, 17.
Yeah, it's tough to get behind him after he played 17 yesterday. Dallas is a good defense too, and they played a slow pace.
Corey Ballmer thinks he's trying to get me here. Josh, do you love Brown Johnson on DK today? Or nah? Nah. I like Brown Johnson on FanDuel.
That one's not even clever. Like there's no Brown on this. Who would be the Brown?
Moses?
Nah, not with Sterling.
I mean, he is the Brown.
Yeah, in more ways than one.
Oh, Bruce Brown. Or Greg Brown. Both of those are like, not exactly guys you should have a lot of, but there are more Browns than I thought. There's a lot of Brown on this site, whether it's Houston, Portland, OKC, Lakers, a lot of Brown. Yeah, there's Bruce. Not a lot of Greg Browns, but some are. What about $3,500 Josh Green with Kleber out? There's just 100 more better plays than that.
Probably more, potentially more than 100.
Yeah. James Brown. Yeah, I don't think he's playing tonight. Hit that like button so we can get up over 6K. Or sorry, 600. But 6K would be great though too. Let's do that.
I think we did have a question in our Discord channel, which I think is pretty. I think it's a good talking point here going into the last 30 minutes. From 024631, he said he's been getting a ton of top 10s recently in tournaments. That's a good thing, but he can't seem to win a large field tourney. Any tips on what he could do with his process to get the extra push? If you're already getting a lot of top 10s, like if you're getting way more than if your top 1% finishes are, well more than 1% of your lineups and you're really generating top 10 lineups, I wouldn't be concerned about anything. That's not something I would start to change. The difference between finishing 10th and 1st in a GPP, while the payout is tremendously different, the process to getting there is not. That's a lot of randomness once you get there.
Correct. There's no difference between the first lineup and the 10th lineup. Other than the fact that you just made $99 less $1,000.
Other than your bank account, it's not a difference. It feels like a lot in that moment, but like how often is a tournament coming down to, oh, hey, look, the stat keeper was liberal in terms of who he gave a defensive stat to, or, oh, this guy got a rebound. This guy made a garbage time bucket at the end. If you're generating a lot of top 10 finishes, which is how this question reads, you're doing just fine.
Yep. Absolutely. No more super chats coming in right now. You bet against a guy to miss the cut who's made the cut 21 straight times at Augusta. I don't know. Did you hear something happened to Tiger recently? I feel like it structurally changed him a bit.
The cut rules also changed. The cut rules also changed at the Masters.
Certainly did.
It used to be anybody within 10 strokes makes the cut. That rule doesn't exist anymore.
But the more important piece here is the fact that he shattered his leg to the point of possible amputation.
I actually think the cut rule change is a bigger deal because I wouldn't have bet it had the old rules still been in place.
Oh, interesting.
Because if he was, well, I didn't know that Scotty Scheffler was going to shoot 8 under par, where the 10 stroke rule wouldn't have mattered. But realistically, the group of guys in second at -3, that would have been, a realistic expectation of where the leader would have been at. And then it would have been anybody +7 or better would have made the cut under the old rule.
Would have been very easy at that point. Also, it's just a bet. And again, the most important part of all of this, whether we think Tiger is going to make the cut, miss the cut, is totally irrelevant here. That line closed significantly in our favor. And that's all that matters in this case.
Yeah, I mean,
I would bet anybody to miss the cut if I knew that I was getting -115 and that line closed at -190. Anybody. Yep. I don't care who it is.
And then once again, if you really thought that it was a bad bet, but if you thought, but if you still placed money on that number, you still could have made money on it by cashing it out, which is something I tell people all the time about certain bets I place. And I'm not right on those all the time either, but like the Boston Celtics, for example, I bet them to win the Eastern Conference and the championship at the trade deadline when they traded for Derek White. And everybody was telling me there's no chance that the Boston Celtics win the championship or win the Eastern Conference. Maybe that's still the case, but that bet could now be cashed out for 5x of what I bet it at. So even if you think it's a bet that is 0 chance to win, who cares? You cash it out right now and you make 5x what you bet on it.
Yep. Yeah. The key takeaway is that the bet was correct.
By the way, I don't know if these are people trolling or if this is just people's actual beliefs, but it seems there are people in the chat who think that the injury never happened. It was all a ruse.
Yeah. Same as when he drove his car into a fire hydrant on Thanksgiving.
Ruse. He's done it to make us part ways with our money at the sports book. He's in on it with DK.
Since it's the end of the season, this is from my filler arc again. What players ruined most of your personal lineups? For me, it's always been Plumlee and Steven Adams. One thing in common, both tall. Also, golf, still not a sport.
So I this was, I don't know, probably like 6 weeks ago. I put out a thing on Twitter to have people answer which players have ruined their lineups the most this year. And I remember Steph Curry was a very popular answer. Anthony Edwards was another very popular answer. Who else was in there? Kyrie was a popular answer. Steph Curry is a tough one because Curry has ridiculous upside, but he fails like 4 out of 5 times. And then the time he hits, it's for like 70 fantasy points. So the players that I think have ruined my lineups the most, either on being not on them enough or having too much of them, are just those really high variance players.
I have no concept. I don't know. Tyrese Maxey, probably. I played him a lot. Anthony Edwards, probably. I played him a lot. Those are my guesses.
Who do you think's made you the most money?
This year? No one. If I'm being perfectly honest, nobody.
Jokic for me.
Yeah, it's pretty much nobody, unfortunately. So that's not fun. 7:04. So we've got 26 minutes to go, 25 minutes to go. You know what would have been fun that we probably could have pulled off, but don't have enough time to like do it on the fly? We should have tried to do an underdog draft during the half hour.
Yeah, that would be tough to do with timing. Let me see what they have because I have the Underdog app on my phone.
I'm opening it up now.
Yeah.
The dance. Like, it would have just been fun to do that. Because I think we would have got through it if it was able to, like, if it started immediately, basically.
They did, Underdog did some cool playoff leagues last year. I think it was called
did not get in any.
I think it was called the Gauntlet, if I remember correctly. That could have been the football one though, also. But yeah, they did a basketball one. It was kind of similar to, I've been doing the same fantasy playoff basketball league with a group of friends from middle school that we've done every year ever since. And it's kind of something similar where, you're trying to balance between which players are good fantasy scores, also with which guys are going to go deep in the playoffs. You get these weird situations where it's like, do I want to draft? You're deciding like, do I want Mikal Bridges or do I want like Karl Anthony Towns or something like that? Like you have like weird decision points you have to make.
Oh man, now I just want to do a draft. It's a shame. It's a shame.
Let's see. What is... I wouldn't be able to do an NFL one. I don't know. I don't know anything about NFL right now. I'm not up to
I
date.
could not do an NFL one. No chance. No chance whatsoever. Would like to. That's for sure.
My God. Did you see the let's talk about the Raptors starting lineup?
Brooks, Trent, Barnes, Siakam, Khem Birch.
I have some bad news for you, Josh. I don't think Precious is playing today.
You might be right. You might be right. Let's go ahead and get Precious Achiuwa out. Obviously, Armani Brooks starting. Lou Will is out. That doesn't matter. Obviously, Armani Brooks was starting this entire time. You guys should have seen that coming. Open your eyes, everyone. You should have been better off figuring that out.
Not the starting lineup I was expecting.
Not my starting lineup. I always say. This is really a bad time for me because the VCon tickets artwork just got released. So now I'm scrambling. Well, how do you feel about Armani Brooks now?
Are they starting him? I think he's going to play a lot now.
Yeah, so do I.
Because getting back to this thing from before, there's not a need to play Pascal Siakam, Scotty Barnes, or Gary Trent big minutes. They played yesterday. The game isn't all that significant. They have a winnable matchup against the Houston Rockets.
I can say this. If I give him 26 minutes, he doesn't look all that good. He's 3,500 on FanDuel. He's flat 3K on DraftKings. That's valuable. The minutes are going to be big here because he's not a good fantasy player. He's a 0.74 guy in my model.
But where that would look better is, and this is where it's so difficult to project some of these players, Armani Brooks might play 30 minutes and would only look so-so as an option on this slate, but those 30 minutes look a lot better if Pascal Siakam, Scotty Barnes, and Gary Trent are all playing limited minutes.
Also true. Porter Jr., Green, Matthews, Tate, and Şengün for Houston. I wouldn't go crazy trying to get to Armani Brooks. I don't think extra salary is something that we're trying to unearth right now. Unless you think that Armani Brooks is playing well into the 30s in minutes, I just don't. I think he could look good, not great.
If you're playing 20 lineups or less, I wouldn't consider Armani Brooks. It's only if you're playing like mass multi-entry and you're looking for a flyer on somebody. Because I could see the path. I could see the path where he is upside. He's not a 1 or 3. He's certainly not a single entry play.
If I put him in for 30 minutes, if I want to just try to be a little bit more aggressive, he's very similar to me to like Melvin Frazier, Xavier Simpson, the Khalid Zykis. Like all of these guys look very, very similar to me. It doesn't create someone that I feel great about. And there's an overwhelming amount of guys right now that are sub 4K that I think are wildly interchangeable.
Yeah. By the way, I also, if Armani Brooks didn't used to play for the Rockets, I think he wouldn't be starting in this spot.
Might be true.
And one more thing, because I have to troll somebody. Ron Koff is saying, do the opposite of Greg's predictions. Ron, I suggest you do not play Fred VanVleet today. Go ahead. Do your worst.
I mean, he's right, but, we don't have to say it.
Yeah, it is a little hurtful. I'm just here being a good boy, trying to do my best to navigate impossible rotations and minutes. I love you all.
Does that change anything for the rest of Toronto for you?
It does for Precious.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of that one now.
Yeah.
Everything that I said about Precious earlier today is all totally useless. Do I think he's going to play 30 minutes again? Nah, it seems not likely.
We had somebody also same from before 024631 on our Discord channel said, "What does this do for Thad Young or Boucher?" It's another guy we have to give minutes for, which is never a positive thing for other guys off the bench.
Yeah, agreed. What else can we touch on here? We want to look at ownership for these first two games.
Yep, we could go ahead and do that. And also I've got some betting implications on the Knicks because the Raptors rested everybody. So I have the Knicks at plus money. Hopefully they start off decently. You have to place there are value on the dumbest things at the end of the NBA season.
It's so true. It's so true. All right. I'm exporting the DraftKings CSV to see how owned everybody is in the big $15 contest on DraftKings. So ownership in the, I closed the damn zip file too fast. I deserve everything that happens to me in life. I hate when I do that shit. I'm too fast for myself. Why does Carson Edwards keep popping up with 3 thumbs down? I don't know. Probably using it wrong.
Take him out of your player pool.
Yeah, just don't play him. All right. Who do you think is the most owned guy in the first 2 games?
The most owned guy in the first 2 games. All right. So it's Milwaukee, Detroit, New York. DK or FanDuel?
DraftKings.
It's either Toppin or Barrett. I'll guess Toppin.
The answer is neither of those guys. Barrett.
Oh, is it Gafford?
Not even close, by the way. Daniel Gafford, 25% owned. Obi Toppin, 21.
That's close.
No,
Said it's not even
RJ
close.
Barrett, 11.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, my not close was for RJ Barrett.
Fair
Jericho
enough.
Sims, 19. Denny Avdia, 14. Giannis, 13. RJ Barrett, 11. No one else above 5. So that's where we're at. Nothing too crazy there. I'd like to get on to like 13% Giannis sounds pretty good. That could certainly break well in your favor. We had him projected for basically the same, so no real issue there.
Yeah. By the way, terrific start for the Knicks, down 10-0 2 minutes into the game.
Great work.
Oh, yeah.
Great work, New York Knickerbockers. Great work. All righty then. What else do you want to talk about here?
Let's see. I want to see what the latest ownership is for our latest ownership projections are for the Toronto Raptors.
That's a good thing. Let's take a look through it. I'll pull them up as well. And we can go through what we think is going to change. I don't know if this is going to be the update that has what we want. I don't think that Brooks news came out 15 minutes ago.
Nope. But we could still talk about some of the chalk we have here. Siakam's projected to be around 20% owned. Gary Trent is projected for 25% ownership on DK.
Emmett Harron says, Josh, do you think Karras is extra motivated today versus Brooklyn? No, I think he'll just be shitty like he normally is. Yeah, no, I doubt it. I doubt it.
Still a good fantasy producer, though.
He is. Depends on who he's on the floor with.
Yeah, although this is also different because he's 7,200 on DK, which is different versus when he was like 4,600 a couple weeks ago.
He's stupid cheap on FanDuel.
Yeah, he's
5,600, 56. Yeah, but he also sucks. So,
who's your least favorite player that the public likes?
I mean, Levert's up there. Let me look.
I've heard you don't like Sheng. I've heard you don't like Şengün.
I don't think his upside is as big as like the consensus seems to think that it is. I don't have any like ill will towards him or anything. I like him, but I'm not sure how he fits in modern basketball in a couple of years. Like he might just be like the evolutionary Enes Kanter, and I don't know if that plays. I don't mind being wrong. Like I'd like to see him be awesome. I think it would be fun. I don't totally see like the true ceiling.
So I think Şengün's ceiling is very, very high because he can do everything.
Well, he can't shoot. So that's not everything. And that's what makes his ceiling high. It's certainly not a defensive ceiling.
So Şengün, but I don't necessarily think it's true that he can't. He's only 19.
I'm just saying right now he can't shoot. He's shooting 30% from mid-range and 26% from three. I don't care what volume any of that is on. At this moment, he is shooting as bad as you can basically shoot in the NBA.
Yeah, he hasn't been a good shooter to this point, but it's not like he's
shooting 59% at the rim. He's the center. That's bad. That's really bad.
But 71% of the line isn't like cataclysmic for me to think that he would have no chance of developing a jump shot.
No, I mean, it's going to take a pretty big leap to me to turn him into like what people think the ceiling is. I hope it happens. It's fun. I don't know what he looks like in the future in the NBA.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Loughy had framed it to me differently when we talked about it on the show.
No, I'm not a buyer in his ceiling. Like if I get his top shots, I don't want them. I'd rather cash in now because I don't think the value is higher later. Happy to be wrong here. All right. Now I got to sort this list by usage because I assume somebody with a lot of usage and inefficiency is the guy that I hate the most.
That's probably the same way. My least favorite archetype of player is a guy who is very dependent on scoring, but does it in volume on low efficiency.
I mean, it's Russell Westbrook now, or like it's been Russell Westbrook recently.
Yeah, but everybody, he's comically disliked on social media now.
Yeah. I mean, like I just happen to be right a year early. Doesn't matter. Nobody cares now. I mean, Caris LeVert is definitely up there. Guys that I just don't like. Now I'm looking for just names.
So if I'm gonna go with the hottest of takes, because I don't actually think he's bad or anything like that, but I do think Morant is probably overvalued because people think he should be first team All NBA, which I think is a little crazy.
He's missed so much time that it makes it difficult.
He's shown that it's difficult for him to stay healthy, and just he's poor enough on the defensive end. The team is really good without him. And I was trolling on Twitter a little bit last week by saying that, the Grizzlies are clearly just better without John Morant, which I don't actually think is the case.
Yeah, but I wanted to dive into that, but I was up in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. But there's no chance that you take like Jokic off the court. Like there's no situation where you take a player as good as Jokic off the court and the Nuggets are like 5 points per 100 possessions better. And I think people think of John Morant as that tier 1 type player. Like there's people that bet on John Morant to win MVP this year, which is also absurd to me.
I agree. He's not even remotely close to that distinction this season. Not even in the ballpark. He's not even the best point guard this season.
So I view Morant as an all-star level player, and I think a lot of the public views him as an MVP level player.
Yeah, do I think that he could be an MVP level player? Absolutely. I mean, to do the things that he's doing right now at his age doesn't happen all that frequently. It's just not this year. What else was I looking up here? I don't have any other really thoughts on guys I don't like. It's a shame. I was hoping I had like a very obvious answer, and I really don't.
He used to be Jimmy Butler, but now you've come around on him.
It's not that I've come around on him. I just like I don't know what to make of Jimmy Butler.
Let's go through the
I
All-Star.
mean, I never thought that
rosters
Jimmy
this year.
Butler wasn't good. I thought he was a bad fit around other guys, generally speaking.
Yeah, personality-wise and on the court, because he's not a good three-point shooter. He's
Right.
blown up multiple teams just by being an asshole.
Yeah, I'd like to know when I made that take first, but I think it was probably when he was in Minnesota.
No, because I remember when you were first talking
No, it
about
had to be
'cause-
Philly. It had to be Philly. It had to be 2019
probably.
in Philly. Because it's going to be, I definitely said it pre-COVID. So it's either Minnesota or Philly. And it was on an Awesemo show. So 2019 sounds like the most likely scenario.
Because I remember it was before his run to the finals, and then that's what really started to get people to troll you.
Oh, yeah. It was 100% before the bubble. So
Yeah.
I would have never said it before after the bubble. I would have just looked real dumb. It's fun thinking about guys we don't like. I mean, DeMar DeRozan's pretty high up there.
See, the
As
thing
a
is, I thought he
basketball
was in
player.
the past, but then he was so good this year. But at the same time, too, I also think it's ridiculous. People are like DeMar to MVP and stuff like that. Like that was all ridiculous as well. But he was.
Yeah.
This is the best season of his career, and he was very good.
Yeah, like most people don't have the best season of their career at 32. That's usually pretty rare. He's taking 5 more twos than he ever has before, which is really amazing to think about for someone that like lives and dies on that stuff. He's just shooting more, but he's basically having like the same season he always does. It's kind of weird.
And
Like he's taking 20 shots a game this year for the first time since 2016. It's kind of nuts.
And the other thing too, let's see, what is his true shooting this year compared to other years?
It's basically the same as it always is.
Is it? I haven't looked at his numbers for a little bit. For a while, it was the best of his career, but he's
Here are the past like 8 years, starting in 2015-16. This is adjusted for league. So I'm going to give you so he's 102 true shooting. So like what true shooting plus basically. So better than average. 102, 100, 100, 97, 107, 103, and then this year 104. So not all that dissimilar from everything that he's ever been.
Yeah, although he's been much more efficient. I'm just looking at his true shooting right now, the last 3 years than he was earlier in his career. But also, like you said, just the fact that he's been able to do it with this much usage, 31.8% usage rate this year, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't totally know what it is. Is it the combination of Vooch and Levine? Like, there's just so much other offensive talent that the area that he likes to operate in has more space than it has for 3 straight years in San Antonio. I think there's something to be said for that.
It's so the other thing that's weird also when it comes to DeRozan, what you were mentioning before, is almost any other situation you'd be like, oh, his usage has to go down playing with guys like Levine and Vooch. And not even close to the case. This is the highest, second highest usage rate of his career. He had a year.
Not only did
Toronto,
I think it would go down, I thought it should go down.
and it went up significantly.
I know. Like there was no way to see this season coming.
And to follow up on my Morant point before, I don't think he should win Most Improved this year. I would give it to Garland or Murray.
If he didn't get hurt, I think there's a real chance that you can give it to Jared Allen.
Jared
I don't
Allen's
think
very
he's
good
played
this year.
enough. Yeah, I mean, Garland did certainly make the leap. I think I would probably give it to Garland. In fact, no, I'm with you. I would give it to Garland over John Morant.
I would give it to Garland or Murray over Morant. Morant also missed so much time this year, and that matters. That matters to me.
John Morant has played 1,862 minutes this season. It's almost as many as KD.
Garland missed some time as well. I think if Murray had to play right now, he would.
Probably.
but they just don't need it right now. So let's see.
Sabonis is pretty high up there on guys I don't like.
Oh, I'm on the same page as you with Sabonis.
Yeah.
I did not like that trade for Sacramento at all.
No, it was terrible.
All right. So, 1,862 minutes for. Yeah. So Garland played 500. So Garland played 500 more minutes.
Yeah. He's worth three more wins at dunks and threes.
Garland and Murray both played about 500 more minutes than John Morant. That's pretty significant.
Yeah. I mean, it's. Go ahead, Jordan. I mean, I just don't trust Corey Ballmer sometimes. Doncic and Patrick Williams or KPJ and Jalen Green. I forgot Patrick Williams was on this slate. There's got to be a better guy to put with Doncic than Pat Williams.
Yeah, so Pat Williams is, let's see, what is his salary on DK? And we'll find him a better option than Pat Williams.
He's 3,700. I mean, you should just play Stanley Johnson over Patrick Williams in that discussion.
Absolutely.
Full stop. I don't think you should play Patrick Williams at all today.
There were slates to play Patrick Williams, but they were slates where there wasn't a lot of value, and we thought his minutes could be extended. But they're just better guys for cheap now. They're teams with everybody out, like the Lakers.
If it's Doncic and Stanley Johnson or KPJ and Jalen Green, it's not close. It's Doncic and Stanley Johnson.
Yeah,
for sure.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
For sure. Oh, Jokic better win this MVP.
I hope so. That would be
going to annoy me. I'll say this much. It wouldn't bother me if Giannis got it. For some reason, it would bother me if Embiid got it. And I like Embiid.
I would be, if any of the three of them got it, it wouldn't bother me.
I don't mind Giannis getting it after, like, as sort of a, hey man, great work carrying those finals last year. Like, you deserve this. I see Embiid as the lesser of the three, even though I think he's having a great year.
The Pistons have 4 points with 3.5 minutes left in the first quarter.
That's good. That's good. Have they 19-4. That's
with 3.5 minutes left in the first quarter.
They are 1 for 13 from the field, 0 for 9 from 3, 1 for 14. Let's make it 0 for 10 from 3. The only guy that has a bucket is Killian Hayes, who is without question the least likely to get a bucket of the guys that have played so far. That's hard to do. Bay is 0 for 4 from 3. That's fantastic.
0 for 4 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3. Yeah, so the starters, Sadiq Bey's 0 for 4 from the field, Killian Hayes 1 for 4, Cade 0 for 2, Isaiah Stewart 0 for 3. Still shooting his threes, though, 0 for 2 from 3.
The Knicks are 4 of 17 from the field, so not too far behind from being awful thing.
This is my favorite time of year to bet NBA, just based on the injury news and speculating on players are going to be out, but it has been very difficult to predict when players are going to rest as of late.
Yeah. All righty. Well, it is 7:30, guys. That is going to do it for NBA Live Before Lock. I know Jordan is itching to get out of the house and flaunt his new fingernails, pick up a whole different crop of people for today. So enjoy that, Jordan. I bet it'll be great for you. Fantastic stuff going on. Yeah, that looks, it basically just looks like you threw up a woman's hand in the stream as if it wasn't your own. I can't even believe it.
It reminds me of the episode of Seinfeld when George became a hand model.
Briefly.
Yeah.
Briefly. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, notification bell, all that good stuff. For Greg, I'm Josh. Thanks, Underdog. We're out.